Hello, everybody. Welcome to the party stream. We're here to celebrate, not just me, because I am not as deserving as you all think I am, but everybody for being in this life together. We're going to have a lot of fun, and I've given out some invites to this stream, and hopefully some people show up. Already got someone waiting for me to introduce them, and that someone is our favorite Canadian lawyer, Ian Runkle of the Bailey. Thank you for being here, man.
Oh, I wouldn't miss it. Also, you give yourself not nearly enough credit, man.
I just got in the...
Now, is that audio me or you? I'm getting weird audio. Rick, your audio is going crazy. Your mic just died, I think. That's not good. I don't know what's going on there. Oh, we got Mrs. Hoeg on it. Hopefully there's a backup mic or some other sort of arrangement there. I think Small Cute Child might be trying to get their revenge. We can't hear anything. That means that Rick is stuck with me running his stream. That's a bad idea. Oh,
it's always the way, right? You have this prepped for forever. Is this sound working now?
Yes, now I can hear you. I thought Small Cute Child might have launched an attack. Oh, and I think we may have lost you again.
Well, good. I don't know what's muting itself, so we'll have to follow that and see if I can pay attention to that button.
Lovely.
Right, well, I'm gone again. I'm muted again. I'm back again, hopefully by now. But I appreciate it, everybody. I am sorry. It's always the way with tech. I was saying before I was muted again, I think that that's the kind of thing that would have put me into a bit of a tailspin last year. Hopefully, we can deal with those small inconsistencies a little bit better now. But it's always a process, and that's one of the things that I wanted to convey as part of this stream, because I did win an award, and we'll talk about that. And whether or not that's earned or not, we can discuss. But certainly, I am a continuing work in process on this stuff and constantly kind of evaluating differences in how I do things and when I'm on videos and not. So I'm very happy for everyone that is here. I've got some stuff planned in the background to potentially talk about with whoever my guests are that show up, because I did send out a bunch of invites for people that were critical in getting the votes needed to actually win me this award, because my job of surviving a stroke and maybe putting some videos out was not going to get the job done as compared to all of the wonderful people like Ian and like others who went out there and asked for votes for me because they thought I deserved them. And I can't judge them and their judgment any more than you can, but they seem to like me, and I always appreciate that. So, Ian, you were one of those that was on Twitter, that was on social media saying, I believe your mantra was "Get wrecked, small cute child."
Yes, and there's a reason for it. There is a good reason for that. So the small cute child, it became very clear, like was not going to be a contender. I mean, there were several of them, and you were at like 1,000 votes when they were at like 200 votes. But I did notice that you were neck and neck with, I a clinic or something along those
It was a
lines.
clinic in Puerto Rico. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, the clinic is doing great work. I'm sure they're lovely people, but they need to lose because Rick's got to win this one.
It's hard
And
to campaign on these kinds of things, isn't it? It's like the other
it really
nominees
is.
are other survivors of stroke, other people caring for survivors of stroke, people healing stroke survivors. And it's like, yeah, all right, but forget them. Vote for me. It's just hard for me. You had no problem with it, Ian.
That's kind of where having friends comes in, because if you come in and you're like, yes, screw that small, cute child, then everyone's going to be like, ooh, I never thought of that from, ooh, maybe he doesn't deserve it. No, I can come in and be like, small, cute child is not going to win. Stop giving small, cute child your pity votes. Get wrecked, small, cute child. Move on. Vote Rick. Because
I like this. I do think there were multiple small, cute children. Isn't that right, Emily? Yeah, they might have split the small, cute child vote. I do feel a little bit bad. I hope that they were not depending on winning this award to feel good about themselves. Everybody that has gone through anything like this is more than deserving of recognition. And small, cute child or children, if you're watching this stream, I'm celebrating you as well as anybody else. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to be recognized for this. I don't necessarily feel too deserving, but others disagree with me. And I have long since learned not to fight with my wife on these kinds of things or the other people on the internet who very much disagree with that position. So, yeah, I appreciate it to everybody. As Wolf Kiara says here, Ian is the best advocate. Yeah, you know, we get around to each other's channels and do that kind of thing for each other. I think that's one of my favorite things about being a part of these many groups online is that we do have the ability to talk for each other and to maybe say what our individually cannot. As Ian says, I would not say get wrecked, small child, but Ian can say it. He can say it humorously. And I appreciate all of your votes.
And I mean, we wish the best for small, cute child. Small, cute child, I'm sure, is a wonderful person and, you know, went through some stuff and all of that. But that's not my job. My job is, you know, Rick's got to win.
Well, I do appreciate that. And I already have some generous memberships being gifted, some super chats. Joshua, thank you. This was before the stream even started for gifting 5 Hoeglaw memberships. I really appreciate that. Callista, thank you for the super chat. Says I have to replay crew. Replay crew is great. I might even wind up splitting up this stream because I do have a number of things that I've got in the background to potentially talk with you all about, and that might wind up being other videos, but we'll see. Wanted to say congrats on the win. Thank you, Callista. I really appreciate it. Jeremy Morton gifting 20 memberships. Thank you, Jeremy. You've been here on the channel a long time. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate your support. Brentwood Chic, you deserve all the awards, Hoeg, for strength and resilience just to start. The thing about this, and I know I've said it as part of the stroke series and in other conversations that we've had, is that I do feel like it took a lot of effort. I do feel like I had to work a lot in rehab and to get through some things and to have a positive attitude and all the things that you ascribed to me. But I feel very selfishly motivated in it, insofar as I wanted to have a life back. I wanted to be a father to my children. I wanted to do these things. And that was motivation enough for me to do this. And then I happened to be young enough and technologically savvy enough, to the extent that I am, to be able to make videos out of it. And I thought that was the appropriate thing to do. So I don't know whether that's heroic or not, but like I said, we don't need to belabor the point. I really appreciate winning the award. And I am thankful for everybody being here to celebrate it with me.
I'm really glad that, I mean, when we heard that you had, you know, sort of suffered a stroke, we were just like, oh God, right? Because in some ways, sometimes it means basically that you never see that person again. Even if they're surviving, it's like they become an entirely different person. I was like, I really hope that's not the case, because we like you. So it's, you know, your recovery's been amazing. And and I think that's also good to see, because a lot of people, when they go through that, they're like, what does the future hold? And there's no guarantees, but I think you're a good illustration that the future is not necessarily bleak, because a lot of people, I think, that something like that happens to them or a loved one, and they just, they assume that's kind of that there are no good outcomes or that sort of thing. So there is something to hope for there, which.
Yeah, I think it's easy to get distraught. I talked about that a little bit. You don't expect this, and it's just a kind of random occurrence to you on a random day, and you wake up in a hospital ICU room, trying to figure out what's going on. And then, at least for me, your first instinct is to say, "Oh, well, this sucks. I wish this didn't happen." And as I said in that first video,
fair
internal monologue Gandalf pops on and says, "That's not up to you. We just have to figure out how to deal with it from here." And I say, "Okay, let's do that then." But yeah, it's certainly a bad day. I don't wish it on anyone. But if you do have to go through this, either yourself or through a loved one, I hope the stroke series is helpful, because I did learn a lot about what this process entails that I absolutely had no knowledge of before whatsoever. So that was the idea of putting those videos out. And that is the reason why my wife nominated me for this award and why you all voted for me. So thank you.
And the other thing I got to say is I have heard from several people now who have noted that your story enabled them to notice their own stroke early and to, do better with it and to get better outcomes. Because, of course, of all the things that have a timer running on them, that, that's like the video game level where suddenly it's like, here is your countdown timer and you got to move fast. So
they do. They say all the outcomes are better the faster you go and can get treatment. So absolutely. That's the T and B fast, which is definitely one of the things I wanted to talk about here on the stroke video, which is to know what to look for if somebody is experiencing a stroke. Sudden loss of balance. I think I said in my video series, I was running into walls and it didn't trigger in my mind as something that was weird to me. So I really needed an outside observer for these things. I didn't have a loss of vision, but I did have trouble moving both sides of my face. In fact, even now, I can't really get my smile to go on the right and left side at the same time, even if I can use those muscles. So if you watch me really closely, and I don't recommend it, you will see me kind of hitched to one side on my smile usually. Check the arms. Ask the person to raise both arms. Does one arm drift downward? Mine really couldn't even get to the same height. Or more specifically, I thought they were the same height and they were not. Ask the person to repeat a simple phrase to test their speech. Is their speech slurred or strange? And when this happened to me, my wife said that I sounded like Elvis. And in my head, you're just trying to speak and it doesn't sound right. And that's just what it is. And then the last T here is time, or some people use terrible headache. I did have a spiked headache right before this happened. Not that it seemed much different from my other headache. So I'm not sure that that's necessarily the key test, but really anytime you see any of these things, you should be on alert for this kind of situation. And certainly, as Ian was saying, time is super important. The faster you can get treatment, the better your outcomes are. So that's why I talk about it all this time. That's why I had the video series. I wanted people to be aware of it. And if you can remember those things, I think you'll be in a better situation than if you don't. So thank you all for listening to this little public service announcement.
I feel also like that is harder on lawyers, because when it's like terrible headache, it's like, oh, that's every day, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it is the truth. You can
we
watch
call that
my
opposing
videos.
counsel.
You can watch my videos before my stroke and see that I'm complaining of migraines pretty often. But that was basically my norm. That was my usual. So it didn't strike me, even as I was describing it to doctors in the hospital, as a headache that was unusual. It was fast and it was strong, but it wasn't like, this is really weird. But again, my brain didn't recognize it was having a stroke. So I don't know how trustworthy I am on any of this.
I mean, that's true of a lot of people. And it's part of why, like married guys tend to live longer, is that it's their spouses who notice that they're having the stroke, not so much them. And yeah, it's, especially because some of the symptoms of brain injuries, one of the sort of symptoms of it is not noticing that you have that you're having the problem. So
it's the weirdest thing to think of for me, though, right? As somebody that's otherwise able-minded and able-bodied, having this notion that I was slamming into walls and knocking over furniture And my brain's thought process was, oh, this is a bad night. This is not great. It wasn't like any emergency klaxons or anything. It was just, this isn't okay. But otherwise,
it'd be better if this wasn't going on.
Yeah. But yeah, if I wasn't married, who knows when I would have been found? I have no idea. So absolutely, I get that.
Yeah, I don't like that kind of thought, but I mean, it's true, right? It's like, what would have gone down?
It is. Well, and co-counsel, I don't think has been on a video saying this, but she spent the next year and still even today, basically calling into my room or where I'm at, playing a video game or otherwise, and asking for a life check. Like, are you okay? Are you alive? And to me, who didn't really experience the traumatic situation in the same way because I was knocked out. It always seemed like a cute little affectation, right? I'm like, yeah, of course I'm alive, honey. And then she's like, no, you don't get it. I had to experience this in a different way. And so I think that caregivers often have as much trauma or issues as the person that is actually experiencing or surviving the stroke. So I wanted to also offer comfort of knowledge to them because it's a big deal. And I feel badly that my wife had to go through it, what I consider without me. Obviously, I'm there for all of it, but not terribly usefully. And I do want to catch a few more of these. Jeremy says, congratulations. Have to watch on replay since it's right at a company all hands meeting. Sorry about that. I could not coordinate with all the companies. I tried, federal holiday, but it didn't happen. So I'm sorry about that, Jeremy. Thank you for gifting all those memberships, and I really appreciate the support for the channel. Emily, congratulations, Hogan family. Happy to be a part of this community. I'm happy to have all of you. If you didn't see it in the video series, one of the things that was a real buoy to me in the hospital was just how much love you all sent to my family, sent to me. And it just really felt like there were people out there that were worried about my situation, that cared about me. And for me, because of the way that I'm wired, that I didn't want to let down as a part of this whole process. So all of you were part of all of this the whole time.
Well, and we definitely were pulling for you. So, and still are, right? Because there's always, yeah.
Right. Well, I'm not back up to, certainly I won't be at volume that I was at 2022, but I'm not even up to kind of where I want to be right now. But that's essentially me still trying to deal with whether or not I'll be fatigued, what kind of energy level I can bring to my law firm and video making and whatever else I'm doing, and still trying to be an active part of my family's life. So that's still a constant balancing test for me. And I appreciate it. All of you who have not beaten down my direct messages or emails with where are my videos, because I am trying to get to as much as I can.
Have you gotten people doing that?
No, I was saying thank you so much that they really weren't. Occasionally there'll be someone that says something along the lines of, you know, where are you, or why haven't you covered this issue? Because certainly when I was really high volume, I was covering things within a couple of hours of when they became news. And I definitely can't do that now. I can maybe do things on a day or two delay. But some people do come into my messages and send me emails and say, you need to cover this. Now I'll say, I'll check it out. I'll do what I can. But it's always a kind of test. And certainly psychologically for me, it's trying to take on what I can take on and not feel overly bad about the stuff that I can't, making those calls and being okay with that.
And that's also hard, is just being okay with, you know, any of this. I have trouble with it myself.
Yeah, I mean, people need us, or they're interested in your opinion on something in video land, and you want to say, that's great, I would love to give it. But it's not as easy as just kind of sitting in front of the camera and the microphone, even though it might look that way. There's a lot of buttons to hit, a lot of stuff to get set up, and getting over that particular hump to get started can be a thing any given day. Speaking of people that are constantly working, hey, Mr. Lawn Lumber, how are you doing?
Hello there, Richard. How are you doing?
I am doing okay. We are celebrating here.
I know.
Not just me. We're celebrating this award that the nice people at the American Stroke Association gave me. But we're also celebrating all the efforts of everybody else who wound up putting in those votes, who have supported me and this channel, and just the gift that is life, because I am so thrilled to still be around and be able to do these things and to speak in complete sentences, which was a bit touch and go there at the start.
Well, it's been impressive to see how far you've come with it. And I thought we were celebrating the downfall of a very small, innocent, cute child.
We are acknowledging that downfall.
Okay.
And we are celebrating all of the wonderful nominees who have contributed to education and experiences in stroke and everything else that they've dealt with at the American Stroke Association or the American Heart Association, of which I am informed the American Stroke Association is a division. And I do want to also shout out the folks that I worked with at the American Stroke Association, both in the nomination process and in the award process here. I actually had to keep it a secret a little bit longer than you might think, because I had to get some video content together and do some interview questions and quotes for them after I won.
So you knew like this whole time?
I knew a bit, and I was only cautious about sharing it with my YouTube friends because I knew that they would have to be online, and I know how it is to have information and try not to share it if it's not intended to be shared and accidentally spilling something. So I didn't want that to be on you, honestly.
This relationship is built on a bed of lies.
Oh no, it's all breaking down before your eyes, folks. Before your eyes. And here is Alita herself, Legal Bites, who I was watching a bit of the Kieran Reed trial with. Not on stream, but in the chat.
All right. Well, hi. How's it going?
It's going okay. Rob is now concerned that I didn't tell him that I won the same day that I knew, and that I have fostered a spirit of lying in our group.
Is Rob now team small child?
Deceit. No, I wouldn't go that far. But I will not stand for this level of deceit and deception.
I get that. I understand.
Rob, I will also have to admit I knew when your surprise party was going to be, and I didn't tell you.
Yeah.
So many lies.
I was later informed that you were aware of that.
Yeah, I wish I could have made it. It just was not possible, sadly.
Just this is how my 41st year is going to go. Just being deceived and lied to by those I care about.
Now, you guys do know if David shows up in this particular sequence that I am going to force you to play Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Wait.
Yeah. Let me explain.
I would have zero problem with that.
Everyone hold my calls. Nope. Can't talk to a client. Can't prep for trial. I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons.
That's right.
I'm having a very important client meeting right now.
Well, speaking of things that were making me feel bad, right? It's taken me a while to get back up to even anything remotely close to full speed in all the things that I do on a regular basis after this whole year of rehabilitation. But one of the things that has really suffered is kind of logistics and planning. And speak of the devil, and he shall appear.
Who's playing Dungeons
and Dragons?
That's right. I said if David shows up, we got the whole L&D crew here.
We got the whole band back together.
Yes, that's right. To celebrate. And honestly, Lawyers and Dragons was one of the things that I was in rehab thinking about, and that my therapist used as distraction techniques. So when they give you therapy, they want you to not be thinking about what it is that you're doing so that you can check executive function and think about multiple things at one time. And one of my therapists, Hallie, who is on the series, you can see her being interviewed by me, I think in April of last year, would ask me Dungeons and Dragons related questions, like THACO calculations and things, while I was trying to walk down a hallway.
Oh, that's mean.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Don't do that to me without a stroke. What are you doing?
Well, it was great because she was trying to find things that I would be engaged in. So she was asking me about my favorite movies or Star Wars plot lines, and then Dungeons and Dragons came up because I think her boyfriend played Dungeons and Dragons. And I said, well, I got a show about that. And so we wound up talking about that. And hi, David. For folks that don't know, I should give you an intro rather than just popping your video onto the screen. This is David Prototopics. I think that's his official last name.
That is my official last name. Yeah, Prototopics. Well, it could be one of the many middle names I have at this point with how many times we've changed the name on YouTube here. But hey, everybody, good to be here. Rick, congratulations on a
thank
job
you.
well done with the series, the video series, and the award. And better luck next time, small child.
No, always get wrecked, small cute child.
In fairness, I think in order to have the pediatric stroke nomination, you have to have a stroke. So if there were no nominees eligible, that would be fine with me.
Fair enough.
Fair.
That is a completely fair assessment.
But I do want to hit a few more of these because people have been so generous. This really wasn't the idea of the stream, but thank you so much, folks. Lady Draconis, I think apt in naming, has gifted 10 Hoaglaw memberships here for the Lawyers and Dragons full reunion. Emily has also gifted 5 Hoaglaw memberships. Thank you, both of you. I really appreciate it. PE, congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Hoaglaw. Thank you for being a member so long. And yes, those congratulations on this award in particular are especially apt for Mrs. Hoaglaw because she was the one that even found out about the award and nominated me for it. So she saved my life.
Kind of saved your life. So
she saved my life. She supported me this whole time. She gave you guys community updates. She ran the GoFundMe that helped make any of this work at all financially. And then she nominated me for an award. So yeah, couldn't have happened without her. And we were joking this past month because I did have a number of things to do for the award in terms of quotes and videos that she had accidentally given me a bunch of extra work that I was doing behind the scenes in order to get this done. But I'm very thankful for her because none of this would be possible without her at this point. So thank you, Mrs. Hoaglaw. I know you have an invite if you ever want to pop in. I don't know if she's at her computer right now. Cielo, thank you for gifting 5 Hoaglaw memberships. I really appreciate it. And Karenel Moscoso, thank you for being a member for so long. This little corner of the internet is lucky to have the Hoags in our lives. I'm so glad you made it through that brain kerfuffle. Yes, it was a kerfuffle, wasn't it? I love the hat in your photo. So thank you so much.
I have the same one.
You know what's funny? You know what we haven't seen in a long time? Rick with a hat on.
Oh yeah.
I wear hats still on most of my videos, especially on the Bitcast. But we gotta let the head breathe a little bit more. You guys would have been surprised in rehab. I didn't have any hats.
He's showing off all that hair he's got.
Yeah.
Well, so many people thought I was bald for so long.
That's okay. You could actually be bald.
Hyacinth already getting ahead of a potential Emily D. Baker appearance with a little money for her Kersey drawer. I don't think she's even used anything that anybody has given for that. She's so good about her language.
I don't know. I think she's dipped into the jar a couple times.
I think it's my Bitcast friends that dip into the jar more than her. Chelsea, thank you for gifting the Hoaglaw memberships. And J. Michael RN has become a YouTube member.
Nice.
Thank you. I could not be more thankful for all the nurses that helped me. The nurses have such a rough job. And as someone that regularly feels apologetic and guilty about what I make people do for me, those nurses that had to take care of me in the ICU is like, even throwing me into a different bed is like, you pick me up and you throw me is just so hard. I couldn't do their job. So thank you so much. And thank you for becoming a member, J. Michael. About how many times do you think you apologized during the course of your stay? Like just 1 to a million. I don't think I said I'm sorry. I don't think I apologized as much as I did commiserate with the difficulty of the job, because it is really hard. There's a whole bunch of stuff with bodily functions that isn't fun in the hospital that I didn't go into great detail on the stream. And that's okay. No, but you told me. You were the first on the phone with me. I was just happy to talk to somebody else outside my room. Yeah. The thing is, after you've been in a hospital for a month, one of the things I was regularly asking people who were visiting me is just confirmation that the world was still out there. You just live in that little bubble.
Now I'm thinking of like some sort of, one of those video games that threatens your sort of perceptions of things.
Yeah, it's like Prey, right? You smash the window down with your wrench, and then there's a different world in there. But they assured me it was still out there. But when you're looking at a gray sky and a gray ground in winter in Michigan, and it's the only thing you can see for a month, it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna give this a shot.
I now want to play Prey again. That's a good game.
Evalista Eva
That's a
Listerevstiv. I am sorry for that butchering. Thank you,
You know,
so
it's
much
a-
for the super chat.
it's a solid attempt.
Filling the curse
Not as
jar
good
and
as I
giving
could do.
all the
Sorry.
love to a strong family who has done so much good. I share your series far and wide, and it's helping. That's one of the best parts of the stroke series is that I've visited now. My hospitals have taken care of me a couple of times, and a few of the therapists and a couple of the folks that work in this environment in neuro rehabilitation and in stroke survival and recovery have said they've shared the series, and people have felt better about seeing someone talk about their experiences. And so that's really what I wanted out of all this. And I'm glad that it happened. So thank you for the super chat. I'm going to go with Eva. Hello, Darkness, my old friend with the Gaming Dino, gifting 10 Hoaglaw memberships. Thank you, Darkness. Joshua, a colleague of mine, got a stroke, but because of you and your channel, she got the help she needed. So thank you.
Amazing.
Heart emoji.
And
That's awesome.
that's why you got the award.
Yeah. And I think
Like
that's
that
now
kind of stuff.
like the third confirmed that I've got from people that have reported that they have, because of what you have been through, they've caught it early and sought preventative care.
I like that I'm so far behind on this one that it's a snide comment / insult. Kai-san, thank you so much for the super chat. Congratulations, my 3 favorite law tubers. Your videos have helped me through hard times.
And I'm all 3.
That's right. I believe it. Well, David, I want to actually hear more about what you're doing, right? Because you're putting out a product soon, if I understand correctly, that I'm going to call
1st.
Pretend. I know that was just a natural acronym that came out of the words that make a lot of sense, and it was just an accident that it's called Pretend, right?
Total accident. Definitely didn't take months of sentence structure to figure out.
So what is Pretend?
Yeah, so it's actually called Participants Realize Empathy or Emotions Through Empathic Narrative Dynamics. See, even I get the E's mixed up.
Wow.
Because it's that structure. And that's really what it is. It's taking the fundamentals of the role-playing games, everything that we've all experienced playing Lawyers and Dragons together and everybody else by playing these RPGs, taking that and then structuring it into a place where that's the focus. It's less about...
Oh, we lost him.
Oh,
Well, we know
This
it's
is
less about
cliffhanger.
something.
I have kind of rough Wi-Fi, so if I
Yeah, we lost you at
that's why.
it's less about blank.
It's less about the crazy statistics that comes with something like Dungeons, and it's much more about the storytelling aspect of it, working together and teaching people communication skills, communication
I love
and
it.
empathy and collaboration. So
I do like the
Amazing.
educational.
we did a lot of play testing with it.
I do like the educational bent
Yes.
that I saw from that one page that you have up there, David. I think that's very cool. It did remind me of Lawyers and Dragons, right? Because one of the things you constantly said was that this was shared storytelling, and that honestly we were pretty hand wavy and vague with our battles and stats and things, and that worked well for us. But I can definitely see it working well at certain tables, and so I wish you the best of success. I hope it is fantastic for you. And I really like the descriptions. I will, of course, link
Appreciate
everybody that appears on this video in the description after the show. But do check it out. It is Pretend. I cannot pretend to remember all the words in there, except for, I think it was empathic.
The
Empathic
name
reminds me of
reminds-
Star
Empathic,
Trek.
yeah.
So
the name reminds me of like something that you would come across in the Harry Potter series. I love it.
he just wanted to say
Good.
play
That's
pretend.
the idea.
I love it.
Let's play pretend in a fantasy world.
No, I think it's great, and I'm super excited about it. So I'm definitely going to check it
Thank you.
out. You're doing a digital release and then a physical release, right?
Well, it's all digital right now. So we're doing digital access for June 1st. That's going to be the guidebook. the monster book, and then we have our first like beginner campaign to like walk you through how to be like a game master and how to play the game. So all of that's going to be June 1st, and then we're aiming for a physical release based on feedback and restructuring a few things here and there, making sure we have a classroom version of it ready to go sooner than later, and then we'll have a physical. We're aiming for Q4 of this year.
Well, you know, I'm entirely in favor of better living through storytelling, so I think it's awesome, David. And I assume the section on being a game master is call up David, because that's what I did. No, that's not how you be a game master.
I mean, that might be a little more difficult for people. We're trying now to put together like kind of a how-to video series that's going to come tagged along with it, so we could walk you through the exact process. But really, like the biggest goal is how do we get this in front of like families? Like nerds already have their outlet. They already know they're playing their games already. Our goal is how do we get this in front of people who've never had experiences like this before? So really talking to educators and teachers and parents and kids.
Well, I love it, David. So thank you. I know people love Lawyers and Dragons. People asked me about that probably the most frequently about our shows.
Me
so
too.
We'll see if we can get it back at some point, guys. Obviously, despite what you see on your screen right now, there's a lot of stuff going on for a lot of these people, and including myself. So it is tricky to go and set one of those up again. But we hear you, and we'll give it a shot.
I could run a one-shot sometime, but it's still hard to coordinate us all. We're chaotic.
It is.
Well, do you guys play pretend?
I certainly will. KL Burke, thank you for the super chat. First time I ever voted for someone to win Best in Stroke or World's Best Stroke. I believe that the Bitcast boys were calling it the Strokies, and said that people should vote for the Best Stroke.
No, that sounds like something else.
Yeah,
I'm so glad Emily's not here yet.
You really can't call it that. That's not.
No, that sounds like it's like an AVN award or something.
You guys, I tell you what. Otterly Bell, thank you for being a member. Congrats, Rick. Party
I didn't
face
have
emoji.
to go there. I just got the opportunity to go there.
You're so worthy.
Rick
Thank you. Oh no.
No, Rick is an innocent.
He's just far too mature.
Christy Fletcher, thank you for being a member for so long. Okay, gang, roll initiative.
Love it.
Vintage Willow, thank you for gifting
for
the 5 Hoglaw memberships. And Vintage Willow is gifting memberships at like every Bitcast. I'm so thankful for the support. Thank you so much. Joshua, I think you already gifted 5 Hoglaw memberships. Maybe you gifted 5 more. Thank you. Just Because gifted some memberships. Thank you. And Daphne TD gifted a membership. Thank you. LK Ryden, thank you for the super chat. Congratulations, Rick. Party face emoji. Blower emoji. Happy for you, and we'll keep rooting for you. Don't underestimate what you are capable of doing. It's easy with long-term illness, known by my experience. Different doesn't mean less. It means new strategies. Happy face emoji. I certainly agree there. I think people have seen that I've leaned on live streams rather than recorded content. And I think we lost David for a moment, so we'll pull him off the screen for just a second. But if he pops back on, we will add him back in. And that has been one of the things that I have figured out / struggled with over the last year is what can I do? How can I still do what I want to do? But it is going to require different amounts of effort and different things. And I have taken to becoming a giant list maker, going so far as to having things that I want to accomplish in my week on a giant checklist, and then other checklists for daily stuff. And I still screw up. It's one of the things I was going to say was I have really struggled with logistics and keeping meetings and things in times apart. And even today, when I picked out this time, Thursday at 1, I ran into another appointment that I really neglected to remember would be an overlap here until the very last minute. Thankfully, they were fine with it. But that's the kind of thing where when it adds up over the course of a long period of time, you start to say, okay, am I capable of doing X, Y, or Z? And that's one of the things that I've been dealing with. So thank you, LK Ryden. absolutely, it is a ongoing process to figuring out how to deal with all this stuff.
Sounds like your brain is functioning a little bit more like some of us on the screen. With
The thought had crossed my mind.
I was literally just looking up and
I'm
counting
sorry.
the number of calendars that I have on the wall to keep me on track. And I counted 6 and I used 3 of them.
I have a lot of phone alarms now for like
Plus
where you should be and what you should be doing.
My daily checklists. Like,
phone alarms don't work for me. I need like
Yeah.
a shot collar or something like that to keep me in line.
But that's what was happening is I was missing these things and then I wasn't even thinking about them, right? And you get scared because you're like, it's not like you knew it was in the back of your head and it just kind of slipped by. It was like I was completely blank on it. It didn't occur to me at all. And then that feels bad. And so I've been developing various things to make sure that I can do that because as a lawyer and as a member of the human race, you just need to remember appointments from time to time. David's back, maybe on new Wi-Fi. Who knows?
This is my favorite thing in the world for keeping organized. Like honestly,
You mean this?
It's yeah.
What is it?
It's a Remarkable 2. It's a little notebook and it's different than what's great about it. They need to sponsor me. What's great about it is that it's this little tablet. Yeah. It's a little tablet that connects to Wi-Fi. So it has an app that can also connect to your phone and to your laptop or computer, what have you, so that you can like transfer documents between like PDFs, you can sign them and all kinds of stuff like that. But basically it's like a filing system in this tiny little thing. But unlike an iPad, you don't have other apps and other stuff to distract you. So it's like just that. So I keep all of my trial notes on here so that, when I'm ultimately traveling back to the States in a few weeks and still live streaming the trial, I don't have to have a huge pile of paper with me to try to remember like what happened on various days. It is wonderful. I love it. I've had it for years now.
All of my case notes for every case I have is on that thing. I can annotate exhibits. I can actually display exhibits if I need to. That has become an extension of my brain where I can offload the things that I can't remember. And I put them there so that I have them when I need them.
I have another calendar in there.
That's what I've done. I have described it. I've described it to my therapist as my brain can blank a lot more than it used to, like just absolutely get rid of something. And so I've been putting it on more lists and more calendars and more schedules. And that's just different for me, right? You wake up one day and your brain just works differently. It's just kind of weird to get used to. So yeah, it's been trying. I think I've spoken on this channel and I think on some other channels about the fact that I am in current therapy for post-stroke anxiety, essentially premised around that, a belief of what I can do and what I can't do, and that leading into certain states of anxiousness with respect to making videos or performing legal services and that kind of thing. So all of you on screen, all of you in the community and chat have been wonderful in terms of saying, you're doing everything fine and you're too hard on yourself and all these things, but I still am, right? So I still have to work through that. It's called acceptance therapy for a reason, but it's a lot harder than I thought it would be. And so I'm still doing that, but things are getting better, I think. And I really appreciate all the support from everybody, including the American Stroke Association. The Creakin, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. That is an awesome cartoon octopus attacking that tiny boat. So I really enjoy your profile pic. K-Rab, thank you for the super chat. As a stroke survivor, I wanted to say how extraordinary what you did with your platform is. I knew the symptoms, so got immediate care, which is critical. Most don't. You helped many. I really hope so, K-Rab, and I'm glad to hear that you were helped. I think one of the great / frightening things of this experience for me is the behind the scenes, how many people have told me that they either had a stroke in the recent past before mine, or that they have had one even since that video series went up, which is only about a year ago. And so it clearly is something that a lot of people deal with. And I hope the series and my story continues to be helpful to folks. Sam Tires says, I'm recovering from my stroke on the 7th of April. That is not too long ago, Sam. I hope everything is doing fine. Yeah, and already in chat. So I really appreciate the support, Sam. I hope you're doing
Amazing.
okay. And I'm very sorry to hear it. Dr. Hines says, congrats, Hoeg. You truly deserve the award. I've been watching some of Dr. Hines' interviews. I believe one with Alita. Yes? You did an interview with Dr. Hines?
Yep. Yeah, he said it was going to be a 30-minute interview, and then it turned out to be like 2 hours because we just couldn't stop talking. It was great.
Well, that never happens with ADHD people.
No, not once. I'm sure editing it was a lot of fun.
I mean, yeah, it took him a while to edit it. Why do you think that is?
What's funny about those is like I've given interviews and I don't see the video go up for like a year and a half later. It's sometimes people have a process that takes a bit longer and you forget that you've given them and it's a surprise to you when it pops up on YouTube. People say you did great on that or you didn't do great on that, depending. It's the internet, folks. And you're like,
people will give you their opinions.
I don't remember what I said. So, okay, thanks. Thank you, Dr. Hines. I'm very glad to see those interviews of my colleagues here. I think that's great stuff. And I always like talking with them and learning more about them. So thank you for that. Lynn Patch, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Silithria, sending plant fund money to the epic, the iconic, the best hero we all could hope for, Mrs. Hoeglaw. She needs the plant money. Or maybe I need the plant money for her. Hard to say. Congrats, Rick, on the award.
This is something that came from my friendship to the two of you that I didn't expect. My Instagram page or all of my different feeds, it's full of plant comments. Like the plant memes, the one like, just buy more plants, just buy more plants. I 100% blame you and Mrs. Hoeg. The only reason it's showing up on my feed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she does love her plants. If you all could see, like just off to my left here, you would see a jungle plant room that is her office. So there is no question that she loves her plants, and I have no doubt that has proliferated, like plants do, into plant imagery and content on your Instagram, Rob.
Now that we're talking about it, it's going to show up on everyone else's phone too.
That's right. Since they heard it, yes, I had one of those yesterday. We were talking about PF Chang's, and then PF Chang sent me an email, and I was like, okay, all right, sure. Canadian Neko, much love from Newfoundland. Thank you so much for the super chat. Colleen Ben, congrats. Hopping over from Law Nerds to show some love. Purple heart emoji. Yeah, I was also watching some Karen Reed with Emily this morning. So lots of my friends covering that particular trial. I have to admit, I didn't really understand what I was looking at from the videos of the car dash cam footage. So I'll have to get a better understanding of all that before I can comment on it at all. But I understand it's day 3 of like 600 or something.
Yes, and at some point the prosecution is hopefully going to figure out that they need like a case, but they're not there yet.
Have the questions improved?
Today with some of the like EMT, like the medics, they spent less than an hour going over like how hard it is to be a medic. So
the last witness, they didn't even ask her for the exact route she took to get to the scene.
Oh,
they didn't.
wow.
He didn't ask her which streets.
Did they ask about the snow and whether it was snowing or not?
So far as I can tell, they are trying. Like they seem to think that their case is that they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it was snowing, and if that is the case they're trying to make, they're doing pretty well.
I think what I heard a number of times.
Not so much on her guilt, though.
I heard a number of foundations for like becoming an EMS.
Yeah, and it's very difficult, and I get that it's impressive, but at the same time, like you guys should figure out that you are running a murder trial, and that is not really gonna prove your case.
Well, I mean, no wonder the trial is slated for 8 freaking weeks. If you can't get trials, don't move like this normally, guys. It usually you get preliminary facts done in like 2 minutes of questions, and then you get to the meat of what you're discussing.
Yeah,
you're not spending 9 million hours on this stuff.
And
I mean,
the problem with that is that the prosecution is just training the jury to not listen to them, especially at the beginning of their direct examinations. They're just training them like all of this is not necessary. You don't need to know any of these details, so they can like reserve their attentional focus for later, which unfortunately for the prosecution probably comes up when they see a new attorney step up and it's cross-examination, because those have always been interesting right off the bat.
Like, defense actually has a theory of the case. They have they're actually landing punches in their crosses, whereas prosecution, the best they seem to be able to do is like, okay, here's this they're really getting to this like one sort of confession-y statement. And the problem with that is that the defense keeps managing to knock it down to the point where even if they get somebody who's like, yes, I definitely heard that, it's like, well, now there's like 5 people who said that they didn't afterwards. So I don't know. It's a problem.
It definitely seemed to be slow moving when I popped in, which is why it's good to watch those kinds of things with commentators.
Yes, and the judges, not commentators like the judge who sighs every 2 minutes.
Oh, it's the worst.
Oh,
Or
like
during
that,
or
that,
like
that's what the judge does.
She only sighs though during
on the defense
stuff. So it's like
that, and then
judge
just breathing into the mic.
Oh, sometimes it does seem like she's got the mic all the way up her nostrils. So
like at least when she was doing it during the dash cam footage, I was like, okay, she's just providing some sound effects for us for the wind and the snow blowing.
Well, I am always impressed by you folks that are doing the live streams of the trials, because they take so long and there's so much to keep track of. So I do pop on when I can to see you all doing your thing. It all looked good from where I was sitting in terms of commentary. I, again, didn't have quite enough information to know what was going on, but I was playing the part of a juror who fell asleep for the first 2 days.
Well, that's probably what the jury did.
And speaking of commentators on Karen Reed, we do have an appearance from our favorite Purple Heart bedazzled legal commentator. How are you doing, Emily?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. I was just talking about the fact that I was watching some Karen Reed with you and Alita this morning and couldn't really make heads or tails out of what was happening for the most part.
I'm struggling to follow the prosecution.
Yeah,
I mean, that was my experience, but I did miss the first 2 days.
No, but you didn't miss anything. You didn't miss anything. You didn't miss anything. So I always talk about trials being puzzle pieces, and the defense was like, here's the box and here's a few of the pieces, but this is the picture we're getting to. And the prosecution took a handful of the same color pieces and hurled it at the jury and went, figure it out.
That is such a good way to describe it.
It does sound like a technique one could use. I'm not sure they should.
It's terrible.
They start out sort of listing their theory of the case, and sometimes you'll see a theory of the case sort of listed in chronological order. This happens, then this happens, then this happens, the same way you tell a story 99% of the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get a prosecutor who will say, like, I'm going to tell you the story in terms of like, here is the ending, and then we'll work backwards, like a reverse chronological, or like, and then we'll fill in details. They just kind of put all of the facts into a bucket, shook the bucket, and then like threw it in a toilet, flushed repeatedly, and told the jurors, fish out everything you can before it flushes away forever. And that was their opening. And so
yeah.
As you said, I'm convinced it was snowing. And that's where I'm at.
On a positive note, if it was a blizzard or not, though. Sorry.
We now know the life story of every single person who's testified. like from their birth to who their parents were to how they were raised.
Oh, the baguettes! I'm
know
just
all of them.
losing my mind about the
We
baguettes.
know how to become a paramedic, how much training it takes to be a paramedic. How
I
often
was there. I was there.
I
for
haven't
some of that
retained that
foundation.
though. To be fair, we heard all of it. I haven't retained it though because I've checked out.
Yep, same, and I'm sure the jury has too.
It does feel
Yeah.
to me like 8 weeks is a lot to ask of a jury.
You don't need it. You don't need it. If you're using all of this 8 weeks for this stuff, come on, you're not doing your job right. Like,
But the
Well,
jury doesn't know what they're looking for because they don't know what's important because the prosecution never said. And if they did say anything important, they didn't change tone, so nobody knows that it's important.
Yeah, right. And that's something that the defense has been so good at though. And also,
Well-
by the way, on the subject of the snow, I feel like they're emphasizing the snow in a way that is not actually helpful to their case.
No, it's
Because
not.
there's this whole issue of like when he was dropped in the place that he was dropped, and they're like, oh, it was like 12:30 at night when it was like just starting to snow, and then all of these hours later, and yet he has no snow on top of him, and they haven't given some kind of an explanation on any of these direct examinations as to like, oh, well, they were doing CPR, so they brushed all the snow off of him, or or something along those lines to like piece those together for the jury. They're expecting the jury to try to like come up with this argument on their behalf, and it's not going to work.
No, Alita,
Take
they
a breath.
he was on top of 4 to 6 inches of snow. That he was on top of the snow.
Yes, and that
other
helps the
thing
defense.
the other thing that's just shocking to me is that we're talking about it's a murder trial of a police officer, and it takes them, of a 39-minute opening, it takes them to minute 37 to utter the word murder.
Yep.
Wait,
I was
really?
like, yeah.
Yeah.
They say he passed like 4 times in their opening. And I'm like, why are you saying he passed away when you're trying to say she cruelly
She
murdered
killed
him
him.
in cold blood in the cold? Like,
The defendant, Karen Reed, was dating Officer John O'Keefe, who she suspected was cheating. And on January 29th, she murdered him by hitting him with her car and leaving him in the snow to die. And the evidence will show, and then shit happens. Like, how hard is... The defense did it brilliantly. The defense are both former prosecutors, though.
Yep.
Good ones.
Yep.
the defense opening was wonderful.
Amazing.
They stand up and they're like, Karen Reed was framed.
And everybody went, what now? What
And
now?
it's like,
I was asleep for 45 minutes. I heard nothing until this. The only thing I know about this case is this. Yeah.
it was so important because everybody was asleep, and suddenly it's like, wake up, jury. And then after they lay out sort of a mini theory, and then it's like, hi, I'm going to introduce myself.
Mhm.
And now I'm going to lay through like brutally with all of the all of the details. It's like, you will hear that at this precise time this happened, as opposed to the prosecution who's going,
Yeah.
you will hear a lot of information about some things, which is almost a quote. And I'm going, how could you get any more vague, sir? Like,
but Ian, what if any things did you learn about?
Oh,
Stop it.
no.
I just don't want to hear the words "what if any" anymore.
There is
so-
a direct negative correlation between the frequency of use of what if any, or those types of additives, and the effectiveness of testimony. Like they just, ugh.
See, so folks, if you want to hear any more about the Karen Reed trial, we've got weeks to go of commentary from Alita Legal Bites, from Emily D. Baker, I think of the same named channel, from Ian, who's you're not doing live court coverage, are you, Ian?
no, I'm doing
something?
recaps in the evening. I'll sort of go through what I think are some of like the important witnesses and skim through some of the others. So
Is that Ian is smarter than the rest of us and can skip the prosecution's case, except for like a couple little snippets if anything important ever happens other than the snow, and then he can get to the really good cross examinations. Smart.
I was actually feeling really bad about that because I was like, I had notes about what to say, like what things to cover, and I'm like, none of this is the prosecution's case.
No, it's not. Don't feel bad about it. You're not the one doing it. They should feel embarrassed.
I'm just worried.
Like they're walking the dog. I mean, it just feels like somebody gave this prosecutor this case and was like, you're going to trial. And they're just like, I'm holding the leash.
Yeah. How about every time he asks a question, if it doesn't have what if any, it for sure has a sigh in the middle of it.
Yep.
Where he starts the question and goes, and then finishes it.
I had a trial once with a junior crown who was told by a senior crown, they were told, like, you absolutely need to run this. It was a break and enter. The guy who was alleged to have done it was a bad guy, but they had like no evidence. And it was literally, you'd see the prosecutor just get up and say, and then what happened? And then what happened? And then what happened? And finally the officer would get through it. And he's like, do you have anything more to say? Okay. And he'd sit down. And that level of energy seems to be what the prosecution is bringing, except they're actually, it's even worse than that, because it's not just and then what happened. It's like, can you take us on a 45-minute side trip to, like, how exactly would we drive to this specific location if it was snowy?
What, if any, let me take you back to when you sort of took the ambulance to the car, and then what, if any, other vehicles were on scene, and what individuals did you see on scene when you saw some?
What, if any, individuals?
But we're here to celebrate Rick, not cause all of our.
I know. I was just going to say, like, he was definitely trying to switch to another subject.
Oh, no, I love it.
What if any
I just want
weather?
to make sure you guys get the props that you deserve, because this stuff is great.
He asks at one point, like, what if any weather was there, or what if any lighting was there? And I'm like, you could just ask, what were the lighting, like, how was the scene lit? Because obviously it was lit because people saw things.
You ask Karen Reed a question. What, if any, response did she give you? Just ask how she responded.
Yeah. Stop it with the word vomit. And today was the first day he actually said, we're 3 days into trial. It feels like 900. But today was the first day he said, what happened next? And I was like, oh, there we go. There we go. We found it. We found it. Let's just stick to that.
What, if anything, happened next? Time stopped. Time may have stopped, actually. We don't want to assume that it continued to progress.
I'm so mad. And the defense attorneys are so good. I wanted to see good prosecutors.
Yeah, me too.
The defense attorneys.
It's disappointing.
I keep talking about, I want to run like a law school course, just pulling up some of these big trials and being like, let's discuss advocacy from watching these. And this set of defense lawyers are fantastic, because they run through some of the, like, formulas that you'll get in law school or whatever else, but they do it seamlessly, such that you don't even see that they're doing a formula. It just looks like they're, like, it's just so practiced. We were going to make Rick an award for this, but then we got distracted. And
There's a pen and a plaque.
I think it's great. I honestly do. And I really enjoyed watching you all comment on a trial again this morning. So if you are interested in this, folks, Emily, Alita, Ian, I know are doing it. Rob is busy. I don't know, like, he's in a trial of some kind. He's apparently a lawyer.
I've got trial next week. I've got to get back to. I was going to use this opportunity to jump back to my trial prep. So.
Yep. He said Thursday's okay because I'm in trial prep, so I can talk with you. But it's like, okay, but I want you to be able to prep for your trial, Rob. Thank you, Johanna. Kate, I do think that is very funny. I think it's a funny comment. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but certainly with some of the shifts that I've had since the stroke, I have thought about the conversations I've had with this motley crew and said, you know, maybe I am a little bit more on their wavelength than I was a year or two ago.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Especially because I got my ADHD diagnosis about a year ago also. So it was like, you had your stroke and then I had, you know, my diagnosis. So we're like, all right, so we're all just a little wonky. That's fine.
Hey, everybody is.
Donkey.
Yeah.
Everybody is. And as one of my early therapists said, and I said on the stroke series, if you've seen one stroke, you've seen one stroke. So everybody has a different reaction to these kinds of things as well. So that's okay with me. As one of my daughter's friends said, normal is boring. You don't want to be normal.
No.
So
Facts.
It's true.
I'm not quite sure what that word means anymore.
There's no such thing.
I did want to highlight one of my other friends who can't be here today. Travis, I had you on screen for a little bit. About to record Fire Team Chat where they talk about Destiny, the video game, and can't join, but just wanted to pop in to say, hello, Hoeg. You're the worst. I love you. Okay, bye. And I think this is a great segue because I did want to talk a little bit about some of the big kind of milestones in my journey last year in 2023. And one of those was sitting in the ICU and watching the Bitcast where I am on every Sunday with these guys talking about seemingly video games, but we also talk a lot about food for some reason and other things in pop culture. And in my ICU bed, this is how my friends introduced the issue to the other people watching the show. And I love them dearly for it. And I actually laughed for the first time in like a week. So this is January 8th, 2023. I am in the ICU when my wife hands me the phone for the first time to say they're talking about you on the Bitcast.
Muted.
Yeah, for some reason the sound's not coming through.
Elaine, your mic.
Could you not hear it?
No.
You might need to reshare it.
It's not pushing through the Roadcaster or the however you route your audio.
It's not going through. All right, we'll see what I can do.
You could share the tab if it's StreamYard with the StreamYard. Share the tab with the audio.
We'll try again, folks. I appreciate the heads up.
So I have a goal, which is I want to see you do an interview. And the interview I want to see you land is the people from now I'm blanking on the game because it's awful.
That raises more
The
questions.
people that sent the voicemail.
Yes.
Oh, I don't remember the name either.
Immortality?
That's it.
We're
Can you
still
hear
not
this?
getting audio. Nope.
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, this is
man.
why it's great to have people here telling me when things aren't working rather than just the whole chat yelling at me.
That is helpful. We might have broken it depending on how you set up your audio so that we wouldn't all echo.
I'm gonna try to pull it up. I think I have.
Good
it.
job breaking it, Hero.
That's what I was trying to do.
Look, man, he's a stroke hero. He didn't say he was a stream hero.
Oh, I am not. I am not. I am the worst at
Streaming is
this,
dynamic.
honestly.
Pulling
Also,
up-
good job breaking it, Hero is kind of a meme thing.
I don't know things. The only video
It's sort of
game-
a video gamey meme.
Yeah, the only video
Oh, yeah.
game I know is how angry my teen is about something they've done in Tarkov. That's all. That's all.
Oh, the $250 edition.
My
yes.
teen is
Yeah.
livid about whatever decision they made.
All right.
I got a
David's
lot of
gonna try to
emails
help me
asking me
out
to
here.
cover that one. So
Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast, episode
There we go.
232. As always, we are your weekly gaming show covering all the topics across the gaming industry with legal, technical, and industry insight. And it's good to be back, kind of, for 2023. Morning, guys. How we doing?
Ready to go, man. Let's go. Here to support Hoeg this morning.
Yes.
So-
Yes.
This is the first
Yeah,
show
I-
after I've had my stroke.
As I'm doing the intro just now, I was already thrown off. Like I didn't even really know how to kind of dive into this. So, as always, you've got me, Ainsley Bowden, you've got Mr. Dan Rodriguez, and you've got Mr. Ty Guy Travis coming at you for our first show of 2023. But you will notice we are missing our fourth musketeer. So before we kind of truly get into anything, I want to just offer a little commentary here. So I assume that everyone watching this, or I should say the majority watching this, know this already, but just in case, I'll cover it if not. Just before the new year, Hoeg suffered a stroke. It goes without saying that, a very, very serious situation, unexpected. Which obviously compounds the issue. And it's been, something that's obviously difficult to talk about, difficult to kind of comprehend and work through. Mrs. Hoeg, co-counsel, as we like to refer to her here, is in the chat with us. Good morning, Mrs. Hoeg. And I've been in contact with her. She has been providing a lot of updates on the status of Rick over the past week. And
immediately leapt
the
into
promising
contacting
news here
everybody.
is that no surprise from us here, of course, because we know how strong and sharp Hoeg is, but he is currently kind of surpassing all the targets that the medical experts up there have for him. So there is promising news on that front, but obviously it goes without saying there's a long road of recovery here, and every day is what we can only imagine is a struggle and filled with concern and a lot of things, right? A lot of emotions. So I think our community, like I said, is aware of this, and all I would ask is that you keep Hoeg in your thoughts, prayers if you're a religious person, of course. And that, you kind of pay attention to the updates happening with him. Please, if you enjoy his content and what he brings to this show, if you're not already enjoying his channel and his content, that obviously helps to a degree as well. So I would encourage you to do so. There is no kind of direct support link or GoFundMe or anything like that set up yet for him. But of course,
co-counsel would change
if that does happen, we will be the first to share. Other than that, I just want to say, it's going to be strange. We talked coming into the end of the year as we closed out 2022 that with Hoeg joining us early last year, I believe, if I recall correctly, we kind of felt like the four of us had gelled and the show was finally kind of took its final shape, if you will. And it's, this feels a little weird this morning for sure. And it's a little different, but, we're here to talk about games. The one thing me and Dan and Travis joked about is that more than anyone else, Hoeg would want us to continue and to talk about games and laugh and joke and have a good time. So that's what we're going to try to do. So we'll see what happens for the foreseeable future. I think, we may have some guests here and there, but for right now, today especially, we wanted just the three of us and to provide an update and to kind of kick off the year with, letting everyone know. So,
and one of those guests
guys,
would be Ian Runkle,
anything like that,
who sat in my seat on the Bitcast and did a great job.
I did an okay job. I was a poor substitute.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
And this is Travis. So you heard Ains was compassionate and careful.
Like this happen.
Travis is a stand-up comedian, and is a reviewer for IGN, the biggest video game website. And we have a very good, albeit somewhat strange relationship that people comment on constantly. But he is a good internet friend. And so he thought it was a good time to do what he's about to do.
You're saying he has a different approach.
He has a different approach.
I'm not a prayer guy myself. I'm a comedian, and so I deal with trauma by making jokes. So if there's anybody out there who deals with trauma the same way, here I'll give you a joke.
Uh-oh.
I've been working with Hoeg for over a year, and basically from the first time I met him, when he told me that he preferred Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 2, I knew that there was
the correct decision, by the way.
I knew that there was something wrong with his brain. I just didn't know what. And this really explains a lot. So ask your doctor about the early warning signs. Do you have a loved one who prefers Resident Evil 6 to Resident Evil Village? Do you have a loved one who doesn't laugh when they play High on Life?
These are debates from our channel.
Talk to your doctor.
This was making me laugh.
Remember to get daily checkups, because we should have seen this coming. That's what I have to say.
That's it, David. Thank you for being the remote control there. I apologize for the technical difficulties.
Brutal.
But yeah, that was
an excellent roast.
That was remarkable to me because, first of all, it's fantastic. And I would talk about it with Travis later on, and he would be like, I was hopeful that it would be, but I was a little bit worried.
This could go one of two ways.
Yeah, but literally, I am in the ICU. I cannot stand up during this week. I cannot use my left arm. So I'm balancing the phone like on my chest in my hospital bed and laughing my butt off. And that was Travis. And so this.
And meanwhile, a nurse outside is like marking that down on the symptom chart. Inappropriate laughter.
I did have lack of impulse control on my list. Yeah, it had a bunch of stuff. But this is Travis right here. So that's the way he is. But I love him to death. And I would not have him treat that set of events any other way. But the Bitcast,
because there's no option. He's
well, compassionate and quiet like Ains. I mean, Ains's way is great too. But that is Travis to the core, and I am thankful for it. And
I don't think you could get Travis to be compassionate and quiet at gunpoint.
I don't, I've never tried at gunpoint, Ian, but you may be right. But that was one I wanted to share with folks because it is one that was important to me personally, where I was at when it happened. And you can tell that they were a little bit concerned about talking about it at all in the episode, and were careful about it. And then they just made me feel normal for one of the first times since I had my stroke. And that was really good. And then it is also why this undoubtedly isn't going to work, but I'm going to try it anyway. Just trying to make sure. It's funny. You get all these buttons and you have to think through them for an extra beat. It's like, is this going to shut everybody off?
Hang on.
No, I don't think so.
Remember
Let's end the stream.
Oh, well, I actually
say goodbye.
Do you remember the moment?
Bye, Rob.
Bye, Rob.
See you, Rob. Thank you for being here.
Congrats, Rick. Congratulations.
After that trial.
So there was a moment where I accidentally ended Hoeg's stream.
He sure did.
I was trying to leave stream and I accidentally hit the end stream button. So I was like,
he has powers over my channel because of this stream. So a few days after that, wonderful people that are also on this celebration did a Friday night hangout on my channel to help keep it alive, or more specifically to help remind YouTube that it existed when it was clear I was not going to be adding any content for some time. And this is my most popular video from 2023. I was not in. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate
I'm sorry,
that.
I feel bad.
It shows how many people love you, Hoeg.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. And I really appreciate it. And it really did help for a good long time. As the channel was not getting any content until like Lawyers and Dragons later in the year. But I don't know whether sound will come through. It doesn't really need sound for this, but
we've got no sound.
I've got it queued up.
I'm drinking whiskey. This is good. Good.
All is right in the universe if there's whiskey
all
being.
good things. It's not an evening stream unless I'm drinking whiskey, and then we make inappropriate jokes that would generally make Hoeg blush. So that's I imagine that's the direction we're headed in. But I don't remember.
I am really looking forward to being at some point having the opportunity to drink whiskey in person. Also, I'm gonna bring some hot sauce. We're gonna have to do a taste off or taste test.
About this, Runkle, have you had all dressed chips?
Yes, all dressed chips are delightful, and you've already mentioned that I need to bring a second suitcase.
You know what I love about this conversation, folks? What I had queued up was actually a conversation about all dressed chips from Emily.
What I was going to say, Runkle, so you have an idea of the tolerance of where I'm at. All dressed chips make my nose sweat.
Okay, so maybe you don't want to try my hot sauce then.
Correct.
That sequence that was on the screen is Emily talking about how she would prefer Instagram snow, but didn't actually want to drive through buried snow, but was otherwise okay with Canada because they had all dressed chips.
Correct. All those things are accurate. I love Canadian food. I'm okay with cute snow. I'm not okay with actual Canada snow. I'm definitely not okay with whatever the snow's happening in the Karen Reed case. Tennessee does get Instagrammable snow and then it's gone in a week, so I'm cool with that.
I am losing my mind every time they're like, this horrible blizzard. And I'm like,
Where?
we don't, what? Like,
That's
this
snow
doesn't,
down Tennessee for 3 weeks.
if I told like a law school prof that I couldn't get to school because of, you know, the snowstorm and that was the level of snow, they'd be like, yeah, that's a 0. Like, sorry, the buses will be running in this. The schools will be running, everything will be running, and like literally nobody shuts anything down for that in Edmonton. When we start shutting things down is if my dogs go out in the backyard and vanish, then we'll talk. But, and I don't mean like Zora, I mean Potter, who is a big boy. So yeah.
We don't really have a lot of snowplows here in Tennessee. So the school buses stop running when there are roads that are too iced for the buses to traverse when they are unplowed because we don't have enough plows because it's a short event. But I kind of love it. I love a cute snow. It's like, oh, we're in for a week. We've got snacks. We've got video games. Nobody has anybody to do it. Kids don't have schoolwork. We'll just chill. It's fine.
With that level of snow in Edmonton, they don't roll out the plows. That's not enough snow for them to bother with the plow. It's like, everybody will be fine.
Meh.
It's like, figure it out.
This is David doing all the tech work behind the scenes, folks. So many thanks to David.
Thanks, David.
You can see him in the bottom left of your screen right now, or as dressed as a dragon in the top right of the projected screen.
To fight these spammers.
Yes.
Same thing with like the shirts. Like, you know, I was like, hey, here's a shirt idea. And then immediately like 50 scammy companies set up something to rip that off.
Yep.
So, and the funny thing is that a bunch of these scammy companies are actually in the States. So I'm actually thinking it might be a decent idea if I ever feel like being a real copyright troll to just copyright an image, put it on a shirt online, and they're like, oh, here's our DMCA process. It's like, I don't actually have to DMCA you. I can jump directly to the lawsuit. We're going to do that. And
I love it. I talked about this with Jen Shaw for those in the chat for Hoeg's community that aren't housewives, or I get it. She's a real housewife of Salt Lake City, but she was selling Justice for Jen Shaw merch ahead of her getting sentenced to federal prison for wire fraud. The judge brought the sentencing, by the way.
She knew how that was going.
I just love that. The photo she used on the front of the shirt, can I screen share it? Can I won't. We'll be cautious. But the photo she shared on the front of the shirt was a photo that a photog took of her walking into court for her arraignment. It was an image of her, but it wasn't her photo. So not only is she, now being sentenced for federal crimes, but she's also using someone else's copyright to sell merch that says Justice for Jen Shaw. It was just such a delicious little circle of nonsense. I loved it.
Wow.
That's a fail and a half.
It was a good picture. I mean, to be fair. David. And I don't think fine. I mean,
I just wanted to point out how wonderful you all are for taking this on. This is a 5-hour stream, folks, as you can see. They were on forever. They were having a good time.
Emily and Ian equals.
I'm sorry?
Never-ending stream. Like, we'll both go to say goodbye, and then the ADHD will trigger on something else, and then later we're like, what were we saying? Oh, we were going to bed. Wait, it's 4 a.m. Just kidding. We'll just stay up. It's fine.
Sun's almost up.
No, it's great. And it was wonderful, and I really appreciate it. And this was early 2023, right? So I'm still in inpatient rehab when that happens. I'm still hospital bound, wondering how the world is outside. And then at the top of February, I get out, and now I will show you a video that you will not be able to hear. And that poor David will have to try to figure out what I'm even trying to show. This is my first appearance on YouTube. I'm assuming you can't hear Travis.
No.
Yeah.
No. What's the timestamp? 2059? David.
21 minutes is fine. But the context for this video is that they haven't seen me on stream. I haven't been on video. I was in the hospital until like 3 days before this video. I'm at home. I see them go live. I tell my wife, I think I'm going to join them. I haven't turned on my computer since the stroke, so that was its own kind of ball of wax. And then I get on stream, and then you can see the way this works from the StreamYard perspective is that you see people as they join behind the scenes before you add them to the stream, as I will do with David's video right here. And so you will see Ains in the top left react to me appearing in like 10 seconds.
Systems and really slowly kind of learning how to play the game and fighting monster fights that take like 30 minutes each. And, it just takes a while. But once you hit that sweet spot, it's super addictive and super fun. And I would say this has all the same strengths and weaknesses as Monster Hunter. It's kind of weird how they emulated not just the genre, but they emulated the weaknesses as well. It's kind of weird. So
what? All right. Chat's about to pop off. I will say that this was not planned.
I didn't tell them.
I don't even know what to say right now.
I also like how he's losing his mind in Travis.
Who's that guy?
No way.
Let's go.
People thought I was going to be on the show today, so I thought I would come on the show
Out of
today.
here.
What's up?
Probably not the whole show, mind you.
Whoa! Oh!
Wait, Travis must have said something so egregious.
Most days, I'm not even listening to Travis. Just
Okay.
Wow.
That's probably a good call, man.
Yeah, he remembers. You got to just mute
You can
Travis
see I
right out of the
didn't set
gate.
my microphone.
Man, it's so good to see you. We've been chatting, of course, but it's good to actually see you on the screen.
Wow.
And you can also see that full-on rightward tilt
Yeah.
on my smile, which is only kind of mostly gone. And so this was a big day. This was a big moment. Chat did in fact pop off, as I understand is very hip to say.
It's because you Riz, Hoeg.
I do have natural Riz. That's what I'm told. No cap.
It's that in your drip, right?
It's the
Or is that
gives the Riz.
is that no longer used? Am I
I have never been cool, so I just can't comment.
For real.
I say all of it to be cringy, so I'm here for it. Apparently,
There you go.
Ohio is also a part of that whole thing. That when my 12-year-old says it, my 16-year-old goes, "Ugh." So I don't know what that's all about, or he's just a Michigan fan. I'm not sure because Ohio elicits a real strong response at my house.
The real fun thing to do with
As it should.
teenagers is to adopt teenager language, because the instant you do, as a gray-haired old guy, it is instantly uncool. No matter what it is, it could be 15 minutes old. And so you just watch them going like, our slang has become uncool instantly.
Yep.
And you could just mess with people entertainingly.
They
And
got
it's
really
fun.
mad at me saying rad a lot. And then I was told that other people of my vintage were saying rad a lot. And that bugged my teenage daughter to no end, which
I'm
is
looking
its own
forward
reward.
to that in like 13 years from now.
I don't know.
When something's rad, it needs to be said it's rad.
Yeah, I know teenagers. It can be a little terrifying having teenagers, but my kids got the best sense of humor and sends me the funniest memes. Like it's a real fun, different stage in a way that I wasn't quite expecting. And Hoeg, I imagine you see that with your kids too. And it's just different, and it's a lot of fun.
I'm still in wonderment, as I have been my entire parenting career here, about how different they are. The kids are so different, but both fun. And as people that watch the Bitcast know, I play a lot of games with my daughters. So I have one daughter that's big into Final Fantasy and another daughter that's big into like creativity, the Minecrafts of the world, the indie games that let you make your own sticker company and sell stickers online. That's called Sticky Business. For those of you that are looking for that game in the future, my daughter loves it.
I am not.
You know what, Ian? That's okay. Not every game is for every player.
No, they all need to be for me specifically, or else I will write a negative review online.
I'm glad to see that you are a Steam reviewer and Twitter user.
I will also have to accuse you of being either in the pocket of big PlayStation or big Xbox, like at the same time.
Yep,
in
that
order
does
to
happen.
Represent
Well, my
Twitter.
joke is that I've done things. I've covered Supreme Court decisions. I talk about political adjacent things in Hangouts and Headlines all the time. nothing has gone worse for me on the internet in terms of responses and people being trolls than talking about Xbox and PlayStation.
Oh,
Like,
it's true.
I got fake negative reviews about the law firm from PlayStation fans that thought I wasn't treating their box right.
Wow.
I hate it when people don't treat.
I was going to say, normally, if you're... Yeah, both Emily and I are thinking the same line of thing, and it's like, oh no, we're on Hoeg's channel. We can't say this.
We're gonna read it back in. We're gonna go back to the Karen Reed trial where they were talking about being professionals and getting plowed. So we're just gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it there.
At least it's not as bad as the Hannah Gutierrez Reed trial, where it's like, and then we're gonna, beat off the cock notch.
You just went there all the way. That was worse than talking about treating people's boxes right.
Fair enough. You guys keep me honest. I love you guys.
Is that what you call it?
We are just neurospicy and we are sorry. I just generally most of the time want to play Animal Crossing without my villagers yelling at me. They're so mean. They're like, "Where have you been?" I'm just
right. I haven't seen you in 2 years.
They're so
We're
angry.
starving here. We don't have clean water.
There's like some version of Westworld that's like for Animal Crossing. Where
The
they're
bridge
all
collapsed.
dying.
All the mail turns into a Ken Burns documentary voiceover. Yeah.
I'm bad at keeping touch with like actual friends.
And then the bugs.
So
Bugs
like
attacked.
I feel like I would hate that with Animal Crossing giving me crap.
Yep, I killed all of my Tamagotchis. But I'm doing pretty well with my Snorlax and Pokemon Sleep. So that's replaced kind of the Tamagotchi situation. I really love Pokemon Sleep a lot.
I love Snorlax
these days.
Right now, I would be getting a record low score on Pokemon Sleep. So
It gets real mad at you when you do that. I do cheat sometimes.
How do you cheat Pokemon Sleep?
You just attach the little sensor to like a wooden block.
On sleep mode when you're not sleeping. I put it on my desk, and so it reads sometimes the typing as sleep move.
Nintendo's gonna hear you saying that.
They're gonna
That's
like
right.
rig in a shock function or something
Yes.
just for your model.
Yep.
The Nintendo secret police will find you. They'll say hello.
Probably.
But J. Michael RN, I want to thank you for the super chat. Congrats from one Wolverine alumni to another. National champions. I know my Buckeye fans like to hear that. So, national champion Michigan Wolverines. Very nice of them to wait to win the national championship until I was conscious for their playoff games. That was nice.
Real good.
I tell you,
this was
a part of my stream as well, but I will tell you, one of the things that co-counsel was really not looking forward to telling me was that Michigan lost while I was on a respirator.
Oh yeah, that would be miserable. I would start lying to you about the date. I think I would just be like, "What are you talking about?" It's.
What's funny is
January.
That's usually so top of mind for me, and I didn't even think to ask until like January 6th, right? Like it was a number of days later, and I said, "Hey, I think Michigan had a game." And she goes, "Oh,
and
no."
she's like, "Nope,
No.
Didn't happen."
If memory serves, weren't you also asking the doctors to like rephrase their assessment questions because the questions weren't clear enough?
All right, so this makes me sound bad, but like to be fair, here's what happens.
It makes you sound like the lawyer that you are.
Here's what happens, right? Speech therapy is a bit of a misnomer because one of the things they're testing is also your cognition and ability to understand like nuance in language. So like the LSAT, they will give you a lot of logic questions and various other things that you have to work through. Sometimes while you're also answering math questions, they hurl at you, and therapy is interesting. But some of these logic questions don't give you all the assumptions that are necessary. So what I was clarifying was in that particular instance, like I think there were young ladies who were selling drinks to young men in their neighborhood. And it was like Sally sells lemonade to Mark and those kinds of things. And I needed to confirm that any given lady couldn't sell to multiple men or something along those lines. And I said, it seems to be the way that this is structured is that everybody gets their own, but that's not clear from the assumptions in your paragraph. And so I needed that confirmed.
But that's actually like...
They're like cognition is higher than most.
That is like a critical thing because there's a ton of like classic puzzles and classic games that try to hint those limitations, and the figuring out that that's not explicitly. I mean, you get back to the very basic. What is it? Wolf sheep grain puzzle.
Are you talking about Catan?
No, it's
No, he
it's
needs
a
to take
really
a boat across the river.
He's going for
you've got a
longest
boat.
road.
You've got to take a wolf, a sheep, and some grain across the boat. But if you leave the wolf alone with the sheep, the wolf will eat the sheep. And if you leave the sheep alone with the grain,
Right.
the sheep's going to eat the grain. So how do you do this? And the thing that they omit is that you can actually take the boat back. So you're going to have to make multiple trips, including like, okay, I take the sheep, drop the sheep off, then I go, and you do this kind of process.
Couldn't you let the sheep eat the grain, the wolf eat the sheep, and then just take the wolf, and then all three have made it across? They're just not still in usable form.
There you go.
They're supposed to make it
be
there
unharmed.
uneaten.
Nobody had to still be alive.
I'm just kind of like, why am I as a farmer? Why am I taking this wolf around? So it's just like throw the wolf in the river, and then me, the sheep, and the grain all go along, and I've got the things that are actually useful to a farmer. Because what am I supposed to do with a wolf? You don't milk a wolf or whatever. Like, would you like some fine wolf milk? What kind of farm is this?
I tell you what, I never know what's going to happen on these streams, folks. I had no money on someone's going to say, "Would you like this fine wolf milk?"
Was it Meet the Fockers where they were talking about milking a cat? That's what's playing in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that was the first one. That was Meet the Parents.
Meet the Parents. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to have to make this a recurring D&D character of like the farmer who's offering the wolf milk.
I think that's exactly its place.
It is.
I think it's perfect, Ian.
I love that you were we've got to put his poop in a group. I love that you were rephrasing the logic questions in the hospital for your doctors who were probably like, no one's ever actually brought it up. You're like, I can redline these questions for you. I can make them better.
Well, they had a lot of tasks that were tricky to deal with in not even because I had a stroke, but just trying to be acceptable for the environment, right? I think I've said this one before, but one of the primary questions that they have at the top of the cognition test is essentially, I'm going to time you and say how many words you can think of that start with the letter F.
Oh,
and like your brain just blanks out. You're like, no, okay, so not that one, but come on,
See,
guys.
that's the first one I'd go to.
Same.
No, and the doctors are they'll say like, no, say whatever. And it's like, yeah, but I don't want to.
See, I'd be going the other way. I'd just be like, how many horrible words can I throw in here? It'd just be like, okay,
how many forms can I use?
Fornication. We'll just like throw in everything we can just to,
I swear they have F at the top of that. That's like the standardized cognition test, like deliberately.
Yeah.
You're like, are you aware that you're even doing it, and do you care?
Did you say fulsomely?
I believe I said fulsome.
There you go.
I believe the one that I remember the most is I said fractious. But yeah, it was those tests, and you got so many of them. You got like a bunch of them per day that you just get. All right, yes, I can draw a clock. It needs to be 10 after 3 or whatever.
They're actually having trouble with the clock one just because fewer people are doing like analog clocks, so they get a lot more drawings of like a digital clock. Yeah.
Well, that's not as helpful. And we were just talking about you, Mr. Tie Guy.
Speaking of fractious.
That was fractious.
Fractious? Oh, okay. Different.
You got to throw a well actually in front of that, Rick.
Well, actually, it's fractious. No, we were just talking about you. We did your clip, Tie Guy, of the joke that you made about my brain being wrong.
Oh.
On January, whatever that is, 6th or 7th or 8th.
was a
And now
couple
he's gonna
days
be
out.
like, that wasn't a joke, right?
Hey, we all deal with trauma in our own way. I do terrible things.
Oh, I was very positive about it. It was really the first time I felt normal in a number of days. Was laughing at you. So
great. That's I'm glad to be a part of that. I just dropped by to say hi. I'm in between other shows and meetings and stuff, but I just wanted to say that I love you and I'm glad you're still with us. And you could barely even tell that your brain was damaged during all of this. It's almost...
that is either nice of you to say or entirely insulting for the pre-stroke period. I don't know, but I appreciate it either way.
Little column A, little column B. Well, happy to see you guys all here, and I will not interrupt your legal conversation as the least educated person here.
David's like, please do.
Please do. David's like, please. They're going to start talking about snow in Massachusetts again. Please make them stop.
But it's difficult.
And missing shoes.
With a lot of these cases, they're very serious, so I can't like quip about them, especially when I don't know the context. Like,
I feel like you can.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Well,
let me be the first to tell you. You definitely can.
Travis is an expert at inappropriate humor.
It's very true. It's very true, unfortunately.
He's funny because and as I said when we were going over the earlier video, he and I have a very kind of specific relationship, and people will come into the comments of my videos and be like, Travis is such an ass to you. How do you deal with that? And inevitably there'll be like one response from Travis that says something like, thanks, or I sure am, or whatever, because that's what he does. And it's always great because nobody quite knows what to expect from Travis. And I'm very glad to see you as well. He's getting married this year, folks.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Hoeg,
Yep. What?
Explained Wood Daddy Stacks to Travis?
I've never gone over the Wood Daddy stacks or any other daddy stacks to Travis.
I'm very confused, but this sounds interesting. I'm seeing his other life here.
I'm just planting seeds for
That's
future.
right, you're popping in.
Yeah, I am getting married, and I think I view us, Hoeg, as sort of a brothers situation. We on the outside, if you didn't know that we were brothers, you'd think that we hate each other. But that's just how brothers be sometimes.
I think it's great. I think you know where the edges are to poke me, and I know how to poke you, and that's what you're looking for.
That's
Well,
right.
the real test of brothers is how well they deal with the inheritance. So that'll be where we figure all this out.
Pretty easy for me. His father left me out of the will very, very conspicuously. I'm not really sure what that was about.
Believe me, Haynes isn't going to leave us anything.
It's true.
That's what we got. But no, thank you, and I appreciate you popping in, Travis. I know you were doing a fire team chat and talking about the glories of Destiny.
Not that glorious, let me tell you. But yeah, well, I was talking about it certainly.
So
did the Bungie lawsuit with the troll who was copywriting the videos resolve?
It did.
Finally.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, that guy he lost. The troll lost. So guess you can't just tell people you're gonna kill their families, as it turns out.
As it turns out.
That is what happened.
Moral
actually.
of the story.
Yeah, it was
wow.
Very specific.
There was a manifesto. I was absolutely.
I hadn't heard about those parts. That's wild.
Yeah, it
My
was
channel was like, we cover pop culture. Why are you talking about video games? I'm like, because there's a manifesto. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of is interesting because I think Bungie wants to be the precedent on like this sort of defending your employees, right? They want to be able to like push back, and I don't think we really have had that in the video game space because I think it's just taken for granted that you can, tell people that you wish they were dead in the game if they made a game that you don't like. That's kind of just always been part of the culture for some reason.
Or
also,
if you
with
review
like
a
the video
game.
game crunch culture, typically the people saying that they wish you were dead is like your direct manager who's like, I wish you were dead and I'm going to make you work 30-hour days until it happens or this game releases. So I know there's only 24 hours in a day, but you're going to figure it out. So that bathroom break, by the way, not authorized. You need to be coding in there.
Normalized, not sending people death threats. I mean, reviewers of Taylor Swift's album were getting death threats. It's like, can we maybe all just take a step back, and if you don't agree, be like, I don't agree.
I review video games that are a lot less popular than Taylor Swift, and I get death threats. So
the community.
I thought it was wild. There was a review of the album that like literally just was, we are publishing this with no name attached for like safety concerns. I'm like, what?
Which led to multiple people at the publication getting death threats because they figured it was one of the three.
I didn't know that Taylor Swift was allowed to call for fatwas. I didn't realize that was
no, she doesn't even have to. That's the thing. It's like a Life of Brian thing where it's like, she's like, oh well, better go to another football game.
I've never seen my kid on the verge of being really that angry with somebody, but then Tarkov did it. Tarkov pushed him right over the edge, and he's like, what are they doing? But you know what he did?
We need to talk more. This is obviously something I should cover in virtual legality. We could talk about the Tarkov situation.
How to piss off your audience in 3 seconds. So anyway.
Well, David has some experience with that in Games Workshop, as well as Hasbro and Wizards. So
what a nightmare.
Well, thank you,
was
Travis.
he on the receiving or the sending end of the death threats?
Good question.
Cool. Well, thanks, guys.
Absolutely, Travis. I appreciate you popping in.
See you, Travis.
Fun time to be a gamer across the board in all aspects.
One thing that has kept me from doing more videos is that there's a lot of infighting about stupid stuff, about stuff that like doesn't interest me at a certain level, and it takes enough effort to make a video that I don't really want to comment on it. I definitely don't want to get dragged into the drama wars, and so you don't get a video.
I started recording maybe 3 separate videos on topics like this, and I stopped midway through realizing this isn't going to be received by the audience that I'm speaking to. This is going to play into a narrative that
I got done
with.
I did a video for Last Stand Media, and the Last Stand Media guys are recording their Sacred Symbols episode right now, so they are sorry that they can't be here. But I was recording a video on the Sweet Baby Inc. stuff, which David probably knows.
Yep.
That's a fire starter.
No idea.
And I got done, and it was well received, but I got done. I talked to co-counsel, and I said, I really don't know whether my contribution was helpful to kind of understanding what's happening and not stoking fires, right? Like, I don't want to be out there post-stroke making any bit of the culture war worse.
Yeah.
And so it's constantly one of my kind of guiding principles is trying to make content only where I think I can inform and potentially help folks understand. But a lot of gaming, especially right now, is groups that I would say don't just not understand, but are in many ways actively fostering a situation where they don't want to understand. And so I've been doing my best there, but if you see a fewer virtual legalities this year, part of it is because of the culture, and the stories that are coming out are all this kind of election year nonsense. And I'm trying to only add my voice where it can help.
Oh, that's how I pick topics too. And I got asked a lot about, missing person cases and other things. I'm like, these aren't in court yet. Like, I can't help explain what's going on. I'm not a news reporter. I'm not on the ground. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's fact. I don't know what's speculation. I can't help. I know you want me to explain. I can't explain. I can't help. If there are court documents, that is what I cover. If there are breaking news topics related to something I've been covering, I at least have some grounded facts to base it on. But if I can't help, I'm not getting into it. And especially when it's just drama, which is like, this is the stuff that's going on, I can't really help because there are no grounded facts. It's all based in opinion and sometimes feeling. And it's really hard to explain why people feel the way that they do about a certain thing if you're not them. So I'm just I do the same as you. I'm like, I can't help explain that topic, so I'm out. Or it makes me want to like stab my own earballs, and then I'm out. So I really appreciate that your take too is like, I don't know if I can be of any help here. So it's just, if you've got a cup of water and it's a giant 5-alarm dumpster fire, I don't know if the cup of water is really going to address the issue.
Yeah, and I wound up feeling pretty good about how that video was received and some of the comments that I got on it. But I remember, and this is part of the kind of post-stroke environment that I live in, I remember finishing that video and just being not sure. Like I so desperately want to be helpful and a force for good and usefulness and understanding in the world that it's hard to get done with one of those conversations and feel like there's the first check that I do when I'm on a stream or interview or what have you, which is, did I say anything that was just manifestly wrong or that I wish I hadn't said? And then it's the step 2 is there anything that I said that I think could be misconstrued or taken out of context? Because the internet does that from time to time.
Too easily.
And the time to time is literally every single time. Or there is no other time.
Or when you're being neutral and people assume that means that you've taken the opposite position as them.
Yes.
Sure.
If you're not like way invested on one side or the other, it's like, I saw it in the Depp trial and I'm seeing it in the Karen Reed trial as well, where it's like, you're like, oh yeah, this is, this witness actually got some useful things out for, the prosecution. People are like, she's innocent though. And I'm like, those two things are not inconsistent.
Those
like
aren't connected.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's why it's like, just reinforcing for the viewers, like, hey, I'm going to call it like I see it. Things that are good and bad for both sides. Like, however you want, this trial to have an outcome. I mean, it is what it is. The things are playing out in front of the jury as they are. The jury is neutral. So, or at least they are supposed to be going into it. So like, if you want to try to understand this trial all the way through the outcome, it's best to be able to see both sides as they're playing out.
Yep.
You would think.
The benefit of neutrality is both sides get mad at you. And so it's delightful when it comes from all angles. You're like, okay, I guess we're staying neutral. Like, you're doing it when everyone's mad. You're like, well, there we are. We're in the middle.
And this is
feel
why
like there's
I
a
don't
universe
cover
where
the
everybody's
politics.
happy. But
I feel like there might be.
I feel like there's a universe where everyone's happy, and we need to never go there, because if we bring regular people to that universe, we'll ruin
destroy it. Yeah. They'll be worse than all of us.
It'll end up like the Lego movie. Isn't that kind of the plot of the Lego movie? Like,
it'll just be like there's, a Stargate opens up, like 4 people walk out and they're like, hi, we just want to explore. And then like the next scene is a big mushroom cloud over the town. It's like, well, that didn't work out.
It's like the Matrix. Like, I don't care. I know it's not real steak, but I want to taste steak. Just put me in the Matrix. I don't want to live in the real world. Just put me back in the fantasy one.
You heard it here, folks. Emily D. Baker is Cypher.
I am not. But
Emily takes the blue pill?
Empathize. I like it.
Thank you. I just like steak, honestly.
XCDA, thank you for the super chat.
That.
Party face emoji. It is a party here. We're having fun. You could tell from the background. Picked a party background for everybody. Even came in dancing.
I love that. I'm going to have to go back and watch the beginning.
Ann Bell Feinstein, thank you for the super chat. Welcome to the phone reminders for life. I even have one to brush my teeth and plan dinner. I have one that tells me to go to bed now. I love my Remarkable 2. No games, all the notepad, and ebook and PDF stuff.
Exactly. It's wonderful.
You guys are going to make me get a Remarkable, and then I'm going to forget that it exists. And I'm going to find it like a year later and be like, all right,
You're just going to have a package on your front porch.
My confession is I still rotate between the Remarkable and then like printer paper and grid paper and like actual notebooks that are like pages are all together. I still have to like rotate between all of those because, it just gets a little too mundane, a little too boring after a while. And I need something new that I can use like colored markers with or something like that.
Yeah, you should not use colored markers with the Remarkable.
Novelty is huge. I love these are my trial notebooks because I need to keep my notes together. But I have multiple stacks of different pens. So my novelty is through switching through pens over and over again. But yep, I also live by alarms. Yep, same, Alita.
Yeah.
It's all new to me.
Liners,
but it has been helpful.
Oh my god, they're so good.
I just have dry erase boards up everywhere.
I love those too.
I have two. I have two dry erase boards, and I mentioned earlier 6 calendars, 3 of which I actually use, and that doesn't include the planner and the Remarkable, or my phone, by the way, which is where I put like appointments and things like that.
Multiple.
And then consolidating all of those notes takes a long time.
None of these techniques really work for me because I just forget they exist, and yeah, that's a problem.
That's why I've got the daily reminders with checklists, and because otherwise it all just falls out of my head.
I really do. Yeah, no, and like I said, the strangeness for me is the shift.
Right.
I feel like I did not appreciate how much I could juggle and keep in my head before. But is what it is. We're here now.
Which is the interesting thing about being neurospicy, because I don't know any other way. I can only liken it to my spine injury. I remember what it was like before my spinal fusion. I remember it was like before, I got hurt and how I felt and how my body felt. And I can appreciate the difference and be like, well, that's different. But with the brain stuff, I'm like, it's always been that way. So that's why we're all like, welcome, Hoeg. We can teach you all the ADHD tricks for when your brain does not do what you think it might at any given moment. It wasn't until recently I realized that people actually literally had a mind's eye. I think it was during the Gwyneth Paltrow case when the neuroscientists were talking. I was like, wait a second. What?
Like the picture of the apple?
No, none. 0. 0.0. And people are like, do you dream? I'm like, like in like an audiobook style. And they're like, but you don't see it like a movie? I'm like, wait, but you do though? Like, they're like, well, when you're giving directions, don't you just visualize the streets? I'm like, I kinetically make motions, but no, I can't like see it in my head like a navigation system. Fascinating.
Fair enough.
Brains.
That's basically what a lot of my doctors sounded like.
Brains. Can't live with them, can't scoop them out.
Brains.
Brains.
Here is my dad, Thomas Hoeg.
Hey,
Thank
Papa
you for the
Hoeg.
super chat. You all look marvelous. Thank you so much for the amazing support you've provided our son and his family.
Why the scare quotes?
Why is it quotes?
I think that might be him doing marvelous, like the old movie.
I see. I was just wondering if it was like
He's just being sarcastic.
Is your dad here throwing shade? Like
It was incredible to meet our second favorite YouTube star in person. Congratulations, son. You are indeed our hero. Well, that's very nice of you to say, Dad. And apologies to everyone on the stream who's not met my dad in person.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's out.
I'm very complimented. Thank you, Papa Hoeg. That was very, very kind.
It's fine.
Dad was in
13th or wherever.
Dad was in full meeting a movie star mode when Alita came by.
No, it was very sweet. It was very sweet meeting your dad.
He's great. They're both great. For those that don't know, I live like, if you imagine a suburban street, I live at like the top of a hill and they live at the bottom. So we're within walking distance of each other.
That's awesome. Don't tell my mother. She'll be mad. We used to live that close until I moved across the country. So we're just, good thing she doesn't follow me around streams.
It was essentially accidental. We were looking to move and then the house that we currently live in opened up and that was the right fit for us.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's good to be down the street. Baby Gator, Bus Stop Rando, thank you for the super chat. I had a great memory before I had 2 TIAs. Now I need all the calendar apps, alerts, etc. The struggle is real. Watching you is my motivation to find new ways of functioning. Black heart emoji. Well, thank you, Baby Gator. I mean it when I say it has been both trying and like strangely energizing to try to figure out like a new puzzle, right? Like how do I get to the place where I was at? How do I get all this to work? And I would be lying if I said to you that it was perfect. Like as I said earlier in this video, I accidentally scheduled this to run into something else that I had planned, and I didn't realize it until much later than I should have. And thankfully, I was able to change that, no problem. But it is the kind of thing where you start to go, oh man, if that happened in a different circumstance, that would have been really bad. And you can get into an anxiety spiral and catastrophize and do all that fun stuff. Don't do that.
Rick, can I just offer? I do that all the time. I've done that my entire life. It's never really bad. It always sorts out. Like, it always sorts out. It always sorts out. I was on stream when I literally got a calendar alert and went, fuck, I'm supposed to be somewhere literally right now. You know what? It worked out because we shifted things around, and I apologized, and I tell them, look, these things are hard for me. It literally always works out. I had one judge that it didn't work out so much for, but it literally always works out. And I know that it's hard when it's newer, but I've had a lifetime of like evidence that it always works out. And I think that's probably true for Runkle and Alita too. David, I don't know if that's true for you, but
it is mostly true.
You just need to never miss a trial. That's the thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, don't miss court appearances. Other than that, it literally all works out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is there are court appearances that are a bigger deal to miss versus a smaller deal.
That's true.
But like missing a trial, you will hear from it from the Law Society. So I've never done that.
Experience, Ian? Oh, okay.
I've never done that one. I did actually have co-counsel on a file miss the trial.
Literal co-counsel, not my wife.
Not his wife. It was, another criminal defense lawyer. And the judge asked me to tear them a new one on his behalf. And I was like, I'm not sure I feel comfortable with that. And he's like, well, one of us is going to, and I'm sure he'd rather hear it from you because I will be louder. And I was like, I understand. I will let him know.
You do it if you just want to do it. I see Ohio Plum Mom in the chat saying, but Rick, have you ever flown to the wrong city? Which is a nod to me not
I remember that.
appreciating the differences between Charleston and Charlotte, because the words are so very similar. And I meant to go to Charleston. I booked all of my travel myself to Charlotte. I got to Charlotte and landed and went to Google how far away my Airbnb was and realized at that moment after we landed that I was in the wrong city. Thankfully, Charlotte and Charleston are close enough that I could rent a car and make up the difference. You know why? Because it all works out. Did we have a lovely drive from North Carolina to South Carolina? Yes. But have I now visited both the Carolinas? Also, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a bad drive. I've done it before. I used to live in Columbia for a year, and I wished I lived in Charleston, but I would always fly out of the Charlotte airport because Columbia's airport is super tiny. So it's not a bad drive, but that's 100% something that I would do in junior year of high school. I remember in my AP English class, we had like an in-class pop quiz or essay or something like that on The Handmaid's Tale. And I was admittedly BSing most of my essay. And I do remember I was basing most of what I wrote on like class discussion and things like that, because I was like kind of being lazy on that book. And I think I was like one of the first people to turn in my essay. I was like talking about how she's got these macaroons that she's stealing in her pocket and blah, 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 blah. And I turned it into my teacher, who I also like I knew him outside of school. Like I would babysit his kids. He went to the same church as my family. He always joked about how my realtor dad kept trying to sell his house and like put like a for sale sign on his lawn. And so like there was a good rapport in that classroom, generally speaking. And he would always give me like a ribbing in front of people. And he decided in front of the whole class to be like, so you know that essay that you just wrote about, like, what was it that you said that you wrote that she had in her pocket? And I was like, macaroons. He's like, every time you meant to say macaroons, you wrote Cameroons. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, okay, cool. Well, I meant macaroons, right?
That's an A+.
All works out.
My wonderful experience was the book Wuthering Heights is the book that I just could not finish. I could not get through Wuthering Heights. Tried my best.
Movie.
I got through 2 chapters of it. And then I read a summary of it online. And that we had to write a paper on it. So I wrote a paper on the first 2 chapters and how they foreshadow the rest of the plot, which I only read a summary of, like somebody saying what happens. I got an A on that paper. I then we get our final exam, which had write an essay on the themes of chapter 2, and I was like,
Oh no.
it all works out.
Works out. You just don't have enough evidence yet for your brain and your stress response to trust that it all works out. You're gonna get more evidence that it all works out, but it all works out. It really does all work out.
No, I appreciate it, Emily. And it is, I am in a much better space than I was last year. And last year was a year where I got better throughout. So I am keeping on, as they say. But it still bugs me when I screw up something easy like that. So
it's about the net wins, though. It's the net positives. You know, it's
the thing is,
one step at a time.
You're able to do things that are like hard to impossible for most humans. So,
yeah,
like,
easy is kind of relative.
Yep, people also say that to me. And it's like, yes, but it was much easier before.
Yes. You're like, from my baseline, this is frustrating to me. I get it, but I really think that you don't give yourself enough credit for how A, incredibly far you've come, and B, how much courage it takes to talk about those things openly and how much impact it's had, which is why I think you were very deserving of the Stroke Hero Award, because it takes a lot of courage to openly talk about those shifts, because it can be something that, I mean, I've had a lifetime to get comfortable with the fact that my brain is a lot spicier than most. But when I was younger, there was a ton of shame around it. And I completely burned myself out trying to mask it and hide it and cover it and not admit it and push through it. And it led to horrible burnout. But to be able to say, hey, this is something that feels really uncomfortable and I'm going to talk about it anyway, helps other people and takes a lot of courage. I just want to offer that it's not something that you need. You're going to feel uncomfortable about it, but it's something that needs to keep being shared. Because really, it'll work out.
Yes, I have definitely worked through a lot of discomfort, and I will continue to do so. You have no problems there, Emily.
Yeah.
So speaking of, since we are here to celebrate, this is what happened in the last couple days. The American Stroke Association, the Stroke Hero Awards. I know a number of you voted. I did a poll. It seems like almost all of you voted in this particular award setup. So what happened here is that you can get nominated for any of a given section awards: the caregiver, equity, groups, pediatric, survivor, and then voter's choice. And you all voted for me as the voter's choice hero. So you could see me looking smug over here on this page.
I love that photo.
This is a photo from my wife. You can actually, I know when this was taken, and it was in the middle of last year. And this is actually me kind of supporting my left arm a little bit, not just pontificating, like I look like I'm giving a Latin dissertation or something.
I feel like you're discussing you're discussing the Sherman Act and how Apple is not in violation.
What the hell is with strokes? Come on.
I've had a stroke and I still can tell you the rule against perpetuities in a way that you understand. What, like it's hard?
Oh, I've never even tried to talk about rap with folks. That's stuff is ridiculous.
I like how rap in Hoeg's world is rule against perpetuities.
So then she said, what if any?
That's right.
A mega pint.
But you guys know my story. I really appreciate all the votes. And I did give a quote that I liked. The award signifies that I was able to successfully reach people, which really is important to me. And the votes I received are as much a testament to how caring and wonderful all those people, meaning the folks on stream with me and the people in the chat and the community, are, as it is to the virtues of the Stroke series itself. My sincere hope is that winning this award can help even more folks find the series and discussions on everything from prevention to rehabilitation, as well as to meet some of the awesome folks that help make my and so many others' recoveries possible. Because The therapists, the nurses, the doctors are all amazing. And if you were here for the fundraiser stream that we did last year, you got to meet my brain surgeon, who, among other people, managed to squig Travis out a little bit by talking about brain surgery. So if you enjoy that kind of content, you can see Travis really not enjoying a description of brain surgery so much.
I think just hope everybody can enjoy Travis having a bad time.
Oh boy, I tell you what, Travis was very nice to come in and pop into both the chat and this stream itself. And the American Stroke Association put a little video together, which I'm going to assume nobody can hear.
I'm on it.
Rick, I am just going to make one comment.
Yeah.
Never grow that mustache again.
It really wasn't my choice.
I know. I'm just telling you, it's a priority.
You don't like this look?
No.
I thought it was provocative as the thumbnail. This is the only picture on a thumbnail of me that you will see on my whole channel.
Fair. I mean, the scar is badass, but
that's a good Harry Potter scar.
I'm informed that my scar is awesome, but I think it's mostly gone. You can still feel it on my head, but I don't think you can see it so much.
No, I think it's mostly gone, or at least I can't see it from here. So
I'm almost there.
Keep the clock going. David. It's okay, David. I appreciate it. And I was actually going to add, I don't think this will work, and David can't cover for me on this one, that part of the content in that video that David is grabbing right now is live answers that I gave to some questions that they had posed to me. And I had the original video that I had made for them that I was going to share with you all as kind of behind the scenes stuff, the questions that I had answered to them. But I bet that you're not going to be able to hear it. So we'll give it a try, but I suspect it's not going to work. So I apologize for that.
All right. Main video is up.
Let's see what David found.
Rick Hoeg suffered a hemorrhagic stroke on December 30th, 2022.
Music for that.
His entire left side.
Are we good with the music?
Yeah, no. It's not you. It's very upbeat. It's like talking about him having a stroke.
Also, it probably will get a strike.
Yeah,
it's already. I mean, it's already on YouTube, so I imagine
December 30th
isn't going to strike it, and it sounds like the music from iMovie, which is copyright free. So I would imagine you probably won't get a strike for it.
It's probably okay, but even if it isn't, this is not a money-making endeavor. So
we know some lawyers.
It's a-okay.
No, I'll tell them to get wrecked. I got you.
Get wrecked. Stroke Hero Awards. Let's go.
2022. His entire left side was affected. Depending on who you asked, he would not walk or use his hand again. After being rushed to the ER, brain surgery, and recovery in the ICU, he went to inpatient rehab. It was hard work, but Rick was determined to get better for the sake of his wife and 2 daughters. Because of his tenacity, the therapists and doctors were shocked at the speed of his recovery. And when he came home, he walked through that door.
I really liked walking out of outpatient therapy without assistance very quickly in that process. I liked graduating from occupational therapy and training for a 5K and doing that 5K within a year of my stroke, actually in October of the year of my stroke. And I really do appreciate all the help that came along with getting me to that point.
Always a positive force, Rick created a 9-part YouTube series on stroke education and prevention, rallying his community to raise money for the hospitals that saved his life. With the help of guests and friends, his video series fundraiser culminated in a $30,000 donation. Congratulations to Rick Hoeg for being the Stroke Hero Awards winner of the 2024 Voters' Choice Hero Award.
I mean, leave it to a gamer to speedrun stroke recovery without a dream. I mean, I think it's incredible.
Agreed.
We're all awkwardly silent, and I hate it.
I'm sorry.
It's a great video.
No, they did a great job.
That was a great one. That was great.
They should have used the AI voice that's basically just Alita, though. Next time, we'll give them that feedback.
I still have to make my video on that one. I've been working on it. It's gonna happen at some point. But
Did the box get your voice?
It's been a long time coming. I found it on. Well, I didn't find it. A viewer found it on YouTube.
But we're so online. The bots have all our voices, David.
Yeah, it was. It freaked me out. I'm not gonna lie.
You're like, that's me, but
to hear me talking about something I've never talked about before.
Yeah.
I'm like, I absolutely know that I have no knowledge of the subject. So like, no, this is not me. Yeah. So I've got to, as soon as the Karen Reed trial is finished, that's probably going to be one of the videos that I work on.
August.
Really get to.
Hoeg, it was a beautiful video. I'm glad that they did that.
Yeah, no, it was really nice. Now, could you all confirm for me that you can't hear anything here?
I hear nothing.
Well, when I start speaking.
Yep. You are miming.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry that won't work out either, but as you can see, I really did plan things. And
you want to drop the link in the private? I could share it.
It's my video. So there's no place for you to have it, David.
But if you link the Dropbox link in the private chat, he can pull it up.
I could just open it up.
All right. You guys are always thinking with portals.
And science.
I'm just used to messing things up, so I always have redundant workarounds.
I'm making a note here. Huge success.
Chat, I hate to have to bounce. Rick, I hate to have to bounce. I have to bounce.
Not at all. Emily, thank you for coming for so long. I appreciate it.
Is a busy one. Just I have to rearrange because I thought there was no court tomorrow because of the jury view, and then the judge was like, "No, we're going to do witnesses," and I was like, "Your Honor, what?" So,
it starts at 1 p.m. Is that I missed that detail exactly?
She didn't say. She said we're going to finish this witness and then go on the jury view. So I think it's going to start at 9, and they're going to finish that witness and then go on the jury view. I thought
the jury view was happening in the morning.
Yes, but I think they're going to finish the witness and then leave from court to go on the jury view. I'll message you, Alita.
Okay,
Rick,
thank you.
Congratulations. I honestly attribute a lot of this to Ian's SAS campaign to get everyone to vote for the Stroke Awards. He was out there saying the things that nobody else was going to say.
That he was.
To get
and won't.
And I appreciate him for it. And I am so glad that more people get to know about not just you, but your channel, your journey, and your story, and that you're getting acknowledged for something, because it's a tremendous act of courage. And I'm just saying, small children are, fearless anyway. So the act of courage really goes to Hoeg. So Ian, how would you say that?
Get wrecked, small cute child. Is that?
It's good to see you guys. Congratulations, Rick. I
Thank
hope
you, Emily.
With your family as well.
Oh, yeah.
Moment to celebrate. Perfect.
I really appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
Good stuff.
See you, Emily.
Good to see you.
I am a no-go on that video, Rick.
I didn't think you could get into the Dropbox.
Yeah. I could try and use the technology and hack my way in, but alas, that would take too long.
Please,
sounds like an early 2000s movie.
I was gonna say, please don't hack the Gibson to get into my Dropbox.
I thought of there's that video of the cat hitting its paws on the keyboard. Like, that would just be me for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, I just recently saw Swordfish for the first time, so like that was like immediately on my brain. Yeah,
I bypassed the compressor, Rick. We're in.
I bet you have. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate the attempt and all of getting those videos up. I will try to figure out how to better do those in StreamYard in the future, everyone. As you can tell, this is not a channel that regularly shows videos. And so I don't have a lot of those button presses down just yet. But I do appreciate all the help. And I think the last flag I had here was actually just to remind myself to grab all the memberships and super chats and everything else. So just bear with me, everyone. And I will try not to skip ahead too far. If I miss anyone, just yell at me in the chat. I'm sure you will. Joe Beer, thank you for being a member for so long. Huge congrats. Celebratory blower emoji. Well deserved. Thank you.
Sorry, did you call that a celebratory blower?
I did. What would you call
It's
it?
a popper. It's a popper.
Okay.
That's maybe a little bit more YouTuber friendly.
Yeah, I was just thinking blower, like that sounds like it's something else.
I apologize.
I mean, that might be a celebration, but
Okay, Ian.
Fiona W., thank you for becoming a YouTube member. I really appreciate it. And for all of the young kids who were here visiting with us and Emily D. Baker, she did get her one exception paid for in advance from the members. So thank you for that. And thank you, Emily, for being here. I don't even think she noticed that she did it. But it's A-okay. Stephanie Wu, thank you. Stephanie Who? Thank you for being a member for 13 months. Once the Karen Reed trial is over, we need a hangouts and headlines about the headlines covering the verdict, please. Black heart emoji. Maybe I'll have to get up to speed as to what's actually going on to be able to distill some of the headline madness that'll happen there. I right now, what I know is somebody is accused of running over somebody else with a car. And the primary defense, as I understand it from headlines, which as we know is not what you should take your primary understanding of anything from, is that the defense believes there's some kind of conspiracy is it the police department to charge this particular woman. So as you can see, I have not even a 30,000 foot view. I have some kind of view from orbital space of this particular case. And so we'll see. But thank you for the recommendation, Stephanie. Devin, thank you for the super chat. Stopping in between meetings to say congrats with a celebratory popper, as Ian has admonished me. Still looks like a horn to me, but okay.
it looks like a horn, but at the same time, like calling it a blower is different than calling it a horn.
Okay. Celebratory horn.
A confetti horn, maybe.
Fiona W. gifted 5 Hoglaw memberships. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Kelly Kell, what are your favorite law school classes from a rising 2L? Thanks. I really loved property, but you would have already done that in your 1L year. In 2L, I really liked secured transactions. But again, you're talking to a corporate lawyer.
I'm like,
terrible.
What is wrong with Rick?
All right. You hit him with evidence and civil procedure or whatever.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah.
Those are not
evidence is fun.
Evidence is fun, especially
Civil
if you have a good
procedure,
professor.
Not so much.
But I also had a really good intellectual property professor who like used his entire wingspan to lecture. It was great. He was very instructive and demonstrative.
I took a seminar on law and economics that I really liked. I'm sure that's a surprise to everybody that watches my channel.
I took a thing on law and economics, and I think my prof wanted to murder me because the whole time through I was like, but isn't this just bullshit? It's like, first, let's start by assuming people have perfect information, are perfectly rational, and act to maximize their interests. And I'm like, I do criminal law. Like, why don't we just assume a unicorn's going to solve all our problems? And that will be... that's more efficient because we've made fewer ridiculous assumptions.
All of the assumptions. You don't have Ian Runkle in your class. Law and economics is a pretty good one in my experience. But as always, your mileage may vary with both the content and the professorship in front of you. LK Ryden, thank you for the super chat again. For ADHD structure, I use an app called Addy, made by people with ADHD for people with ADHD. For structure, it's awesome. And yes, acceptance is an ongoing thing. Heart emoji. Lists are love, lists are life. Crying, laughing emoji. I am getting used to a lot of lists, LK Ryden, so I'm right there with you. Thank you so much. Sneaky Side, thank you for the super chat. The My Cousin Vinny moment was epic, though. Worth waiting up for. Was there a My Cousin Vinny moment in the trial?
Yes. It wasn't Utes, but it was
it was similar though.
Pharaohs. And
Yes. He was saying furrows, but because of his Bostonian accent, the witness was pronouncing it like furrows. And so the California bred defense attorney was like, I'm sorry, what? I don't understand. Like, can you explain? Like, I don't know what that is. And so then it took a couple beats and then they realized it was because of the accent and it was furrows. But it was a very charismatic moment though. It was good. I mean, Alan Jackson is really good at even connecting on cross-examinations, like with the people that he's cross-examining, so that even when he's putting them in uncomfortable positions, he still is able to like somehow develop a connection with them. It's really, really impressive.
You guys certainly sound like the defense side is very good at their jobs. I will have to watch more of the trial.
Yeah.
Anna, did you say I just missed Hoeg reading all the emojis? That's a waving emoji, a heart smiling emoji, and a grinning wide teeth emoji.
Nice.
Against the Tide, our wonderful mod here who has been keeping things going in the chat today and every other day here at the channel. Thank you so much, Against the Tide. I am so happy for you and Mrs. Hoeg. You are both heroes. You two and the others you are sharing a screen with are amazing. They really are. They are all fantastic, and I continue to pop into all their streams and be amazed. I will tell you how good they are at what they do is often intimidating. David started a new show talking about news items, not exactly the same as Virtual Legality, but of a similar intellectual bent towards some news items. And I was like, man, they are killing it. And I wish I could do more of that than I currently am. David does that. Ian does it. Ian gets on my nerves when he yells at me about video games, but that's okay. I don't mind that at all, as you could tell with my friendships with Ian and Travis.
I mean, it's really only one video game.
I love Immortality. Immortality has a really cool new book series coming out this summer that I think is sold out, but has all the scripts from all the movies in that video game.
And has exactly the same amount of gameplay.
And a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff.
Ooh, zing!
I do like the background sound effects. But yeah, no, if I recall correctly, you were on our Game of the Year discussion and you hated like 3 of my choices, Ian, but that's all right.
I mean, reasonable minds can differ.
They can differ. That's very true. And you can absolutely differ on the value or lack thereof of art, right? Like that's where subjectivity lives. Von Dodds, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Ann Bell Feinstein, thank you again for another super chat. Normal is the setting on the washer and dishwasher. Otherwise, it has no place in my life. I get that. Actually, our washer has so many settings. I often ask co-counsel, what are they all for? We only ever use this. We only ever set it to here and push the button in. But Sandy, thank you for gifting 10 Hoeglaw memberships and for the adorable dog. We love adorable pets here. Katie Cotton, speaking of adorable dogs, being a member for 20 months. So happy for you. The award couldn't have happened to a nicer person and family. Love this crew. Law nerds for the win. Now I have to go back to packing boxes. Ugh. Yeah, packing's no fun. But soon it will be done. And then unpacking. So, silver lining. Fat Yoga, member for 5 months. Love seeing you with all the friends. I have loved being here with all the friends. What a fun stream this has been. This is what I was looking forward to. And thank you all for being here so much. I really appreciate it. Given a couple hours on your weekday here, or whatever time of day or a day of the week it is for you, Alita. I don't actually know.
It's still Thursday.
Cool.
Happy time zone.
I know. One of these days I'll be on a closer time zone to you guys. We'll see.
Well, come visit Edmonton sometime.
I don't give Ian enough credit for being West Coast. So all the time zones are different. Von Dodds, thank you for another super chat. Ms. Case, to the cause. It looks like arm wrestling emoji to me, but I think it's like either a high five. or prayer. That doesn't look like arm wrestling to you. It looks like arm wrestling to me. Oh, well.
I think it's the prayer hands.
Prayer hands, yeah.
Marmar, on behalf of Dr. Moo, may all stroke survivors recover quickly, safely, and get as much as to normal as possible. Much love to Moo and you, Rick and fam. Thank you, Marmar. I really appreciate it. Jess Rubery, my 1L, we had like 100 inches in less than a month. In this area, I still had classes / makeup classes. The prosecutor is exaggerating it. Well, it definitely didn't look like a blizzard from what I could see on the video. But I will say that even living here in Michigan my whole life, it does appear that my state is less capable of handling equal amounts of snow as it was when I was a child, right? We shut down a little bit earlier than we used to. We have a little bit less of an ability to clear snow than in the 80s and 90s, in my experience.
Which is weird.
It is a little weird. But my state is a little weird as it is.
All right, Rick. Fair. I gotta head out.
All right.
I still have a recap that I've got to do, and especially if we're going back to trial tomorrow, I have a deadline. So thanks so much for having me. No worries. This has been wonderful.
Thank you, Alita. I really appreciate it.
Of course. All right. I'll see you guys.
Good to see you.
I'm gonna have to. I'm behind on trial watching today, so I'm going to have to get that together for my recap later on. That's going to suck.
And that's the pitch to watch Ian's trial recap of Karen Reed trial day 3.
The trial recap is going to be fine. Watching the prosecutor in order to cut out all of the boring bits, that's going to suck because the prosecutor is like 95% boring bits, and
there were a fair amount of I'll see counsel at sidebar, so you got a few minutes to shave off there.
Well, I suspect that today is going to be largely like there were 3 moments that were worth looking at, and we'll get this done in half an hour because At least it's not quite as much of like, here's exactly how you navigate to this house. I'm kind of surprised that these cops aren't really upset about being doxxed so specifically. It's like, not only is this their address, but also, if you're getting lost, here's how you find it.
Hey, if you can pull 3 moments out of what I saw today, I would be very impressed. But it was just one of those days where it was all kind of not directly aimed at the case itself. So
yeah, and I mean, sometimes you have days where it's just background stuff, but there's a lot of there is a whole vibe of like they're trying to get in these like one saying, like this one little bit of phrasing to establish a confession, and I don't think they're going to land it. But you never know, juries, right? That's also a thing, right? So you never know what a jury's going to do to you. So don't count the prosecution out.
Hey, well, more power to you for going over all that and making those recaps so that I can hopefully get caught up pretty soon on that trial. It does seem very interesting. I can't believe it's going to be 8 weeks long, but I'm not in charge. So we'll see how that goes. I do have a few more super chats I want to get through, and then I will let you go. I promise, Ian. Unless you want to sit along and do another set of videos, because I do have some virtual legality stuff prepped if you want to. Okay, Kat, Rick,
I'll have to catch up with you later on that because I'm gonna have to get some stuff done. But
I hear you.
I want to see if we can try to get you set up. I think you need to do an interview with the Immortality crew if there's any way to swing that.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I would have to try to not fanboy out at the start with Sam Barlow and the actors, but I appreciate it, Ian. K-Cat, Rick, we are beyond excited and grateful to celebrate with you, Mrs. Hoeglaw, and all the Hoeglings. You've given hope to so many. Heart emoji. Well, I'm very happy to hear that, Casey Cat. That was my hope out of all this. Elise Charlene, fine art. The only other way it is a blizzard is coastal winds that are from 85 miles an hour or higher. And I'm going the wrong direction here on this, but she started with FYI on blizzards in Boston. Blizzards to us is when we receive 125 feet of snow in 3 weeks, or with these winds of 85 miles an hour or higher. So, yeah. Blizzards are real, and what we're seeing on the camera doesn't look like a blizzard. It looks like a bad snowy day, potentially. I mean, it's night and it's snowing in the air. That's tough to drive in, but it doesn't make it a blizzard. It's not whiteout conditions or anything like that.
It
Sandy,
looks like a nice winter day to me.
All right, you do get that. You do get that Canadian perspective of it looks fine. I don't know what you're talking about, Rick. You can get a lot worse than that. Sandy gifting 5 more Hoeg Law memberships. Thank you. As Trisha Lynn gifted 5 Hoeg Law memberships. I really appreciate all of that. Sherlock Mom 007 was asking about her super chat. I did get to it. I apologize for the short delay there. I'm Jennifer at JJ Peterson, a huge promoter of you. 1124 hospital, 1 month inpatient rehab, 4 lost mobility post heart surgery, 224 stroke coded, found limbic encephalitis, long-term issue with issue still with home health. Just ER 2 times 24 hours. Congratulations to you and Mrs. Hoeg. Thank you, Sherlock Mom 007. I am very sorry to hear about all of that, but hopefully the stroke series and my content is helpful at some level. So thank you so much for the support and the super chat. Nishay Jones, I'm from Philly. We say John. Everything's a John. Okay. It's great. Heart emoji, Space Invader emoji, game controller emoji. Just because, thank you for the super chat. Take wool from the sheep, spin it into yarn, use that to tie the wolf's maw shut. Problem solved.
I don't think that's an allowable answer in the...
Referring to your earlier teaser question, but you're right that when you have those kinds of questions or riddles, you're constantly looking for the, well, the doctor was his mom answer.
And yeah, they don't let you break the rules either. You can't use the oar to knock the wolf unconscious and then the problem's easy because the wolf is now just,
It does seem to defeat the purpose of the question if you're just knocking the wolf out with an oar. As much as Dungeons and Dragons has taught us that blunt objects are a useful problem-solving measure, it's not what you're always looking for in a cognition test.
I mean, Dungeons and Dragons is wonderful in the sense that every problem can be solved with violence. And if you're not managing it, you just need to use more violence than you have thus far.
A different strategy of violence. Yeah. Hit it very hard.
Courtney, thank you for the super chat. I'm late, but congrats. I was an EMT for 10 years, had quite a few stroke patients over that time frame. Happy to see your recovery has come as far as it has, and glad to have you back. You guys should do another trivia night. The Bitcast should, right? We did trivia on the Bitcast. I think we will on the next anniversary. We're at like 291. We like doing those trivia nights, even if Colin rolls in and wins when he shouldn't. But I will ask Ains about it. Roketsu86, member for 22 months. Congrats Hoeg on the award. Your video series and donation rally were both awesome to see. Yeah, I think that we're a lot of fun, and a lot of the folks that you saw today were on that fundraiser stream and helpful to all of that. And certainly all of the funds themselves come from the community. So I don't want to take too much credit for that. That was just me putting a goal out there, and you guys were the ones that reached it. So thank you so much for all that support, Roketsu, and everyone else in the community. M2HMGHB. I started using notepads around 15 years old. I don't take meds without writing them down first. Lyme brain is a real thing, as is fibromyalgia fog. I believe it. I believe a whole lot of stuff that I would not have given as much credence to before all this happened to me. And I've actually talked to folks in my family that have had certain issues and said, I don't think I was empathetic enough. I don't think I realized enough about how real some of these things are. So thank you for the super chat. And I appreciate that. Cindy Regner Brown is a new member. Thank you so much. And welcome to the membership. I hope you enjoy your stay here. Rhineman YYC. Hey, Hoeg, congrats again for being a hero. And he Rainman YYC shared with me that he did have a stroke and was able to catch it because of the series and my story. And I really appreciate that. And I'm so glad that things are going well for him. Laura, everything is figure outable. Book worth reading. I will take a look at it. A number of people have recommended a number of books for me, many of which I have to get to, and I will take a look at everything is figure outable. I really did appreciate Emily D. Baker basically saying what I've heard a lot from a lot of different sources, which is, you can get anxious and have anxiety about these various things, but for the most part, you're worrying about things that aren't going to come to pass in the way that you think they are, and that things will ultimately work out for the most part. Midnight Dreary, thank you for gifting a Hoeg Law membership. Sandy, thank you for the generous super chat. Rick, there are so many of us in the community who cope with health challenges, and your strength, courage, and humor overcoming all you have is an inspiration to us all. Heart emoji. This is a well-deserved honor. That is very nice of you to say, Sandy. I really hope I can be that, because I know a lot of people are going through a lot of stuff, and I know it even more now than I did before all this happened. And so I feel for everyone that's going through any of this stuff, and if I can be someone that can say, you can get through this, it is a challenge, it can feel like a mess, but there is a light at the other end of the tunnel. I want to be that. So thank you, Sandy. I appreciate it. Musical Soup 2, thank you for the super sticker. I really appreciate that. Midnight Dreary, congratulations, Hoeg. Thank you for the gifted memberships and being a member for so long, Midnight Dreary. Aurora W, congrats on the win. Super chat for Cursey words. Yeah, you got to cover EDB sometimes when she drops in, but she means no harm by it. Jeremy Morton gifted more Hoeg Law memberships. Thank you, Jeremy. Wolf Kinder 3, I'm struggling to get past Wolf Milk Farmer.
Fair enough.
Shocked face emoji, laughing on the floor, crying emoji twice. See what you did, Ian?
Mm-hmm.
Wolf Milk Farmer. It's going to be your new character.
It's going to be like a running... It's going to be a running NPC. Like the party is going to, encounter somebody. It's like, and what do you do, good sir? Well, I'm a wolf milk farmer. It's like,
I milk the wolves.
Now,
That's
David,
a job?
will pretend support the role of wolf milk farmer?
I'm supposed to say no, but that would go against the premise of pretend. So it's only as far as your imagination can go, which, given to Ian Runkle, goes very far.
That's right. It really depends on who you hand this magic Necronomicon to.
Yeah. Rethinking my life after this stream.
Michelle Johans 1, congratulations, heart emoji. ADHD girl tuning in from Norway while I am writing my BA thesis about radical right-wing party voters. And
now I'm curious about where in Norway, because I've been to Norway and it's a beautiful place.
This emoji appears to be someone holding their hand up like a table. That's what I've got.
I see that too.
Okay. You think it might be a shrug?
I don't know.
Well, thank you, Michelle Johans, for the support, and good luck on your thesis. Those are always a fun time. Casey Cat, Emily worked in the same office with Alan Jackson when they were both in the DA's office. I think she mentioned that she had some familiarity with one of the interrogators in the Karen Reed case. So that makes sense to me. Like I said, Emily and Alita and Ian and others are covering Karen Reed all the time. They've got lots of great coverage, lots of interesting stuff to watch during your workday when you want to turn the speaker down if your boss is walking by. But all very interesting and very useful, and certainly makes some of the boring parts more entertaining.
Pro tip, establish dominance by when your boss walks by, just slowly turn the speaker up.
Don't take pro tips from Ian.
Well, or do. It's just you got to remember that they will accomplish certain specific goals.
There you
go. And those might not be your goals at the same time.
Remember, he milks wolves.
Dawn Shu, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Chris Mullen, thank you for the super sticker. And Elise Charlene Fine Art, when is Dragons and Lawyers coming back? I miss it.
Well, let's see.
Are we going to have to do it and pretend?
That would be ideal.
I'm gonna have to learn a new system.
That would certainly be ideal.
I mean, I think if we were going to do Lawyers and Dragons in Pretend, we could do an intro video where David explains his system to us and also explains the system to others. It seems to me like a winning solution.
Well, let me break it down this way. In Dungeons and Dragons, you have multiple character sheets. There's multiple pages. In this, you can get it down to a postcard front and back. That was the point. So we wanted to just make it as easy as possible, and I took a lot of the things, but just playing Lawyers and Dragons and doing a lot of the stuff that we've done just on Proto Topics, it's made for shows. Like, it can be used as a show, as for shows. It's much easier than the other systems because it's not really an RPG system so much as it's a storytelling system.
It sounds great. Elise Charlene Fleinart, I hopefully you're setting up a new Lawyers and Dragons in front of you. We're gonna have to talk about it behind the scenes, maybe get some people in a time frame that works for them. But we know you love it. We love it too. It's just a matter of making it work in everybody's schedule. Francine Luhu, thank you for the super chat. In honor of this award, I vote that there should be another run of the limited time merch from the fundraiser. Still upset I missed the chance to snag a Jeff is Real t-shirt. Congrats, Team Hoeg. Congratulatory, celebratory confetti popper emoji. Thank you, Francie Luhu. I will talk to my shop manager about potentially doing that. Certainly, the Jeff is Real shirt is one of the more popular items in the limited run stuff. And one of my favorite, I don't know what you would call it, souvenirs from this wonderful journey into the healthcare system has been a photo that Jeff sent me of himself rocking the Jeff is Real t-shirt while on duty as the night nurse where I was in the ICU. So it would have been useful to me at the time because nobody believed me that Jeff was real. So I appreciate it, Francine Luhu. I will ask the appropriate people who run that, and I will let you all know. Okay. Now, you guys were all super, super generous. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here.
One
in the
more
chat.
Snuck in.
Who snuck in?
Two more. We got two more snuck in.
Oh, people are sneaking in super chats?
They're sneaking them in. I just don't want anybody to miss it.
All right. Well, Michelle Johans, one. For Ian, I'm from almost as north as you can go, but doing my BA in Trondheim. Are you familiar with the geography of Norway, Ian?
A little bit, because I did a semester there. I took maritime law in Norway, which, of course, is super useful to a Canadian criminal practice here in Canada, but it was actually pretty fascinating. If you go to the north of Norway, it is the place to go if you ever want to see really spectacular northern lights. And I say that as a Canadian, we have some pretty good northern lights here, but really spectacular out there. Also, check out Bergen if you can manage to go there on one of the few sunny days. They get like 25 a year, so may the odds be ever in your favor.
Topical and timely. Well, it's good to know. I have no notions of Norwegian geography, but I do appreciate it, Ian and Michelle Johans.
Also, go to Sweden sometime to try surströmming.
Is that a music? Is that a food? Is that a wedding ritual?
It's debated as to whether it's a food.
Okay.
They take they take herring and they put it in a can.
Don't let me throw up on steaming.
It ferments in the can, so the can actually is bulging out when you get it.
Bendy.
Yeah, and I've tried it. It was actually quite pleasant when you open it in the proper way. But there are a lot of videos of people trying surströmming and not doing it in the proper way, and it typically results in them having a very unhappy time, sort of stomach-wise. Don't open it in your car, but maybe open it in someone else's car if you don't like them. Surströmming also gets an interesting note in some of the legal literature. There is a landlord-tenant case where a landlord evicted somebody for dripping surströmming juice in the hallways. And the judge was all set to throw the case out, except that counsel for the landlord acquired a can of surströmming and opened it in the courtroom. And the judge is like, I understand now. Landlord, you were 100% justified in the eviction. Tenant, get wrecked. And yeah.
I love that.
I've actually thought about using surströmming as like a home defense measure. Like if I ever have to deal with a burglar, it's just like open the can and yard it in, and then they don't want to be here either.
You Home Alone set it up.
I thought you were going to just print out a thing that said money here and put it on the outside of the can.
But the other thing you could do is absolutely use it to get somebody out of a house. Like if you're like, all right, I want to make that place unlivable. Just lob a can through the window. There's no botulism in it. It's safe. It's just people find it unpalatable. And Zora loved it, by the way. So, yeah.
I never know what I'm going to learn from you all.
You learn something new every day, folks.
Every time. Dotadella, Super Chat, Lawyers and Dragons is what has inspired me to be a DM. And I've been in the process of writing my own story. Thanks to all of you for the work that you do.
Keep it up.
Thank you, Dotadella. Certainly wasn't me on the DM side. That goes to Mr. Prototopics on the down low here.
Well, look, that's the dream, folks, is that you all start telling your own stories and we inspire everybody else to tell their own stories. Because that's we don't want to lose that creativity that we lose when we go from being kids to adults. We lose that little creative spark. And if we could get that back, that'd be amazing. That would be incredible. Be creative.
David and I both believe in better living through storytelling. So that is awesome to hear, Dotadella. I can tell David myself that my oldest daughter has taken to creating a D&D group and DMing with her other teenage girlfriends. And there is currently in my basement a full map on the wall with different locations and things. And she's created folders for all of her friends that have their backgrounds and what geography they're most associated with and things like that. And she loves it.
Hardy approves of the map making.
Yes.
I bet he does.
Hardy approved.
I also, I got to ask, are you getting like a plaque or something for the Stroke Hero Awards?
I got this. This
Awesome.
says Stroke Hero Awards 2024 Voters' Choice Hero Richard Hoeg.
Awesome.
Nice.
So they did give you a proper trophy. I was like, if they didn't, we will have to make you something.
Yes, it's quite heavy, actually.
I got to get into the leatherwork shop again. So I'm like, I've got thoughts about ideas and so forth. But yeah, I also need to buy a laser.
I do have more super chats, especially one that is Ian inspired. Congrats, Hoeg, says Law Nerd 24. Get wrecked, sweet, cute child who had a stroke, cry harder. Now, of course, that is just the position of this super chatter. And we feel very badly for any sweet, cute child who has a stroke, as well as anybody else who has a stroke, because it's no fun. I can promise you. But in a vote where there can only be one winner, it is okay to vote for the person you think is the most deserving of winning.
There can only be one.
That's right. It's. I should have had it written to Highlander.
Yes.
Play the Highlander theme.
Yes. Richard McLeod. Born of the Clan McLeod.
It is a good thing that you don't have to like literally behead your competition in this one.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that would be counterproductive to the spirit of the event.
No, we want more people to understand more about this thing that affects so many people. Ash Axiom gifted a Hoeg Law membership. Thank you, Ash. Britt Cormier is on it. As long as we send in dollars, he has to stay. So now what are you going to do, Hoeg? I have you. So, Britt, I'm really, I get it. I'm not going to be too upset about you super chatting. I promise. But certainly we're all going to have to leave at some point.
Yes.
Against the Tide, please thumbs up this stream, like it, and all of his others. I mean, if you can get to all of them, that's really impressive. But I do have 1,000 some odd videos on this channel, as well as all of Ian's and David's. You all deserve it. like Ian's stuff, Runkle of the Bailey, like David's stuff, Prototopics. They
Come
do
check
great
out our
stuff.
book.
Yeah, that's right. Pre-order Pretend. They all do fantastic stuff online on the internet, and the internet could certainly, in the year 2024, use more fantastic stuff.
And I also now have to make a new panel because I made a panel that was Campfire Kingdoms that's going to go into a DM screen when I can figure out the logistics of that.
But it's in the book.
Campfire Kingdoms is?
The name is in the book, yes.
Okay, just I'm like, do I have to redo this now?
No, it's canon. It's just
Okay.
we had. Let's play pretend. Let's play pretend. You know, once we said that, we were like, oh, we finally have a good name. We have trouble coming up with names. My business partner and I. So when we got that, it's like, ooh.
I want to know when you decided to throw empathic in there. That's a heck of a word.
When they needed a second E.
I've said it's an empathy generator for like the last 5 years. It's like you could teach people how to be more empathic by playing games like this. So that was one. Emotions was actually the second word. So empathic was first.
All right.
But yeah, available. PrototopicsPretend.com. Check it out. The pre-order's up now. Yes, let me start grifting right here as we wrap up the show.
It's not grifting when you have actual product and content to share with people that they would enjoy.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. PrototopicsPretend.com. The pre-order's up now.
How much is it?
$20.
All right.
$20.
I may have to.
A single American bill. I don't know how many Canadian bills.
More than one.
I said I wanted to make this as accessible as possible. So it's
all right.
It's
I'll have to
$20
reach into the penny bank and
for the digital version that we're putting out. Yeah, and it's going to have 3 books in it. So it's got the guidebook for the player guidebook, the monster compendium, and then the beginner campaign. So it's a whole set.
I'm in. Tony Duante Mijeka, Papa and Mama Bites celebrate with you. So that's Alita's family who was just here. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the super chat and the celebration. It was great to have Alita here. It was great to have everybody here for this whole stream. And we got Britt. Just so you know, I can do this, and we'll never find out the end of that sentence because we're about to end, and he doesn't have another chat in. I agree about David's influence. So far, I've only DM'd a one-shot, but there will be more. I love the storytelling, Fox. See? So he's your dealer. David is out there pushing this storytelling and human empathy. And before you know it, you're empathizing with people and you're telling stories on the street corner, just to anybody passing by.
That's how it starts. Telling stories and then...
That got dark in a weird way.
And guess what? There's going to be and it's only $20 to get started now.
Right. Now, but
thank you for that.
The first full campaign will be $150. The second one will be $1,500. You just roll right up.
We're putting out. Hey, we're gonna match Hasbro. They have one D&D where you can spend 99 cents to change your beard. Every beard option is 99 cents. We're gonna match that every beard option, every species, but it's only gonna be 50 cents. Okay, so we got a little bit different.
There you go.
Well, it's only gonna be 50 cents. Okay.
There you go.
No, we would never do that.
I should quiz you both actually about. Did you see Hasbro's new video game initiative?
All I know is them and Mattel keep saying make everything like Monopoly Go.
As I understand it, Hasbro has been working on $1 billion set of game companies behind the scenes, and that they're about to go large with them in the very near future, including a game about Snake Eyes in G.I. Joe.
Well, he's had some poorly done films. So let's go for the game.
I got to be honest with you, as someone that watched G.I. Joe in the past, that has enjoyed certain G.I. Joe board games and things, I don't think I could tell you which one Snake Eyes is.
G.I. Joe needs some work, but it's okay, folks, because G.I. Joe and Transformers are going to get a team-up movie in 2026.
It's the one with the snake theme.
Cobra!
Oh boy. But hey, I just didn't know if you had heard about it because you guys are my go-tos for gaming stuff, and David, you especially. I always see your tweets that are about something that I've thought about or discussed, and it's always like, oh man, what is Disney even doing? Or check out this bit of news. And it's like, yep, yeah, sounds right.
I really enjoy the PlayStation commentary the last couple of days. Not for like the exact, when you look at the exact reason from the bird's eye view, and we don't need to get into the specifics, but it's really insane and super silly. But for me to have the opportunity to say, let's bully a mega corporation that doesn't care about its consumers, I'm all on board for that.
There you go. Folks,
that's about it.
Line.
We're back on Tarkov again?
There you go.
Nope, not Tarkov this time.
You mean I get to bully PlayStation? I'm on board. I get to cancel my membership? I'm on board.
PlayStation has a fraught relationship with content of certain stripes.
Certain stripes?
And
like
literally
skunk?
and figuratively.
Yes. Well, I actually am very much enjoying Stellar Blade, but certain people are upset about design elements within that game.
Oh, the lack of porn.
I would not describe it.
There are other games that are worse.
How about that?
Sure.
Well,
I was just you've got the whole rest of the internet. You can.
I understand people getting upset about censorship, especially after like part of the marketing for Stellar Blade was no censorship. But like the game itself is enjoyable to play, and there's like 700 million outfits. So I get where David's coming from, where you say, okay, yeah, Sony did badly this time, and it's okay to take that stance. I don't disagree with that. It just isn't something that personally bothers me.
Yeah, it's like I said, from the bird's eye view, this is a really silly topic, but
I'm so upset about this one that I went retroactively back in time and did not ever buy a PlayStation.
That being said, Stellar Blade is fun. I agree with
Stellar Blade a lot. I will say that on the Bitcast Sundays at 11. But yeah, I enjoy Stellar Blade. Marvin CZ, thank you for the super sticker. And Britt finishing his thought, just so you know, I can do this. You thought maybe you might go with all day or as long as you could take it until my credit card company thinks this is fraud. So hopefully they don't think you're defrauding anybody with the multiple checks. He says we haven't gotten there yet.
What he's saying is that if you want him to stop, you got to make a phone call right now.
Yes. So somebody seems to have stolen Britt's credit card and is giving me a sequence of $2 super chats. You might want to put a hold on his card. No, I appreciate it, Britt. I appreciate all the support in humor or otherwise. I know you've been at the channel a long time. I appreciate it, Ian. I appreciate it, David. And the bad news for all of you here in the community right now is that I had a couple of other things that I could have covered that I will tell you right now, I don't think I have the endurance to cover because of your wonderful generosity and celebratory tone with us today. So thank you all for being here. I think I'm going to cut it, quote unquote, short at 3 hours. And I'm going to leave you all to the rest of your day. So thank you, everybody. And
no, not the rest of my day.
Impossible.
I know who took it. Me, says Britt. Britt's having a blast with the super chats. All right. Good. I am seriously closing up shop, so don't try to squeeze any more in, Britt.
Thanks, all.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And I will catch you on the next episode of Virtual Legality, which should be significantly less celebratory, not because the topic will be less celebratory, but because this was specifically a celebration, and the next one will be a discussion of law and business. So thank you, everybody, for being here, and I'll see you on the next one.
Virtual Legality is a YouTube video series with audio podcast versions presented as commentary and for education and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute legal advice and does not create an attorney-client relationship. If you have legal questions about the topics discussed, please consult your own legal counsel.